It has been a remarkable season in the proud history of Liverpool Football Club, and just before the curtain falls on the 2021-22 campaign, there's still one last chance to make some memories. Welcome to the Trophy Parade, live.
It's Gaffer. Oh, he's missed! And it's Liverpool's League Cup once again! Before he lifts the trophy, Liverpool are the champions! What a season! The Greek international Kostas Tsimikas has won the FA Cup for Liverpool. Liverpool and Jordan Henderson are tasting trophies again.
The flags are flying and thousands of people are already lining the streets of this wonderful city, and rightly so, to welcome two teams, the League and FA Cup winners, and those that created and delivered promotion back to the Women's Super League. We're live on LFC TV, on LFC TV Go, and across social media as well. Very good afternoon to you. Well, not quite your fairy tale ending to the season, hey, but if the last couple of years has taught us anything, it's to enjoy the good times when we can, and that is what we're going to do over the course of the next few hours in the company of Jason McAteer and Nigel Spackman this afternoon. Afternoon to both of you.
How are you?
Afternoon, Rob.
Well, we could have been better, couldn't we, sitting here today? And if we reflect firstly on the game, Jason, it didn't quite pan out how we hoped.
No, obviously the result was extremely disappointing, overshadowed, which I'm sure we'll talk about later, but yeah, there was a couple of off performances, some things just didn't click, and obviously for Real Madrid's point of view, you know, as much as, you know, they didn't really have many shots on target, they had a keeper that was in top form and that kept the ball out the back of the net and was their match winner. You know, Courtois was excellent. He made some unbelievable saves, which he has done all season, to be honest. He's been excellent for Real Madrid this season, and he had one last performance in his locker yesterday, and unfortunately it came against a Liverpool team that knocked on the door really, but never got no reward for it. But yeah, it was a sad end really. But listen, we're here to celebrate what we've done this season. As you mentioned, the women getting promoted, and obviously two domestic cups in the trophy cabinet is great.
Yeah, they came up against the masters of this competition, and so many times throughout the course of the campaign, Real Madrid were written off, but they just deliver in those big moments time and time again in the Champions League, don't they?
Well, certainly in the knockout stages, they really struggled to get out of the group. Rob, I did them against Sheriff. They lost to Sheriff, struggled against Shakhtar Donetsk, but once they got into that knockout stage and they go and beat Paris Saint-Germain, then beat Chelsea, then beat Man City, and then beat Liverpool in the final, you have to say, when they've been called upon, they've really produced it. And tactically, I thought Ancelotti got it spot on as well once again, but I thought Courtois, as Jason said, was the outstanding player on the pitch. And I mean, that save late on from Mo Salah, if that went 1-1, I think the momentum would have completely changed and we would have got on top and maybe gone on and won it. But he was outstanding. I thought a special mention for us, I thought Konate played really well for us at the back, defended well, was strong. But overall, it's been a really good season. It could have been a great season, but take nothing away, as Jason said, you know, it's been outstanding to compete on four fronts, win two trophies. You've got to say that's been absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, and the one thing you will always say about this team, Jason, is even in the midst of a disappointing night, a disappointing performance, they tried everything, they gave everything, they left nothing out on the pitch at the end of that match, and at the end of this season, and 63 fabulous games.
Yeah, I think in comparison, I think it was 56, was it, Real Madrid, 55, 56 games. Yeah, you know, at times I think the season, it did look like it took its toll on the players. You know, there was a couple of tired performances out there, and, you know, all due respect to Real Madrid, you know, they're an experienced team. They know how to take punches, they know how to sit deep, they know how to take the pressure, play on the break, keep the ball when they need to. I mean, the three midfield players, Casemiro, you know, he's in there to win the ball back, but the likes of Modric and Kroos, they just don't give it away. And, you know, at times, they were really called upon not to give away silly possession. Benzema was a willing runner defensively. He got back to get everybody behind the ball, didn't he? They sat deep and they just made things really, really difficult for Liverpool. But as me and Spack has said, you know, Courtois on the night was the difference, and, you know, Vinicius, he gets the winner, but Courtois was the real hero.
We sat on this stage 3 years ago, Nigel, and we wondered what would become of the Liverpool team that had just delivered a 6th European Cup. I feel like we sit here today knowing that this group of players, the manager, the coaching staff, will come again. They'll be back at it in August, wanting to achieve even more.
Absolutely, and I think Jurgen's already come out and said book your hotels for next season's Champions League final already. But
Istanbul, by the way, we know what happens there.
Yeah, you know what happens there. But I think there'll be a few changes in the summer. I think there'll be a few players who want to leave, who want to move on because they've not played enough football. I think the big one with Sadio is up in the air, Mo's contract. So there's a few things to sort out in the summer, but I'm sure there'll be some going, some coming in, but the momentum will stay. And I think that's what Jurgen's signed for. He sees the club moving forward again and competing on all fronts. And it's going to be difficult. Man City are signing players. Haaland's a fantastic signing for them. But for us, it's about bringing in, more players, better players, and just go for everything again next season. And that's what Liverpool are supposed to do, and that's what Liverpool will do.
It really hurts them to lose. I know we don't do it often. I mean, Premier League defeats, in some ways you can always put it right, but sort of cup defeats, like Sevilla, that defeat, the Real Madrid 2018, that defeat, and certainly last night, it's horrible. It's actually horrible. I mean, we feel it as pundits being close to the club and being close to the team, and we're kind of the team behind the team, aren't we? And how it impacts us. But I just look around. I mean, I'm privileged to be around them at times, and I seen them. And we had a bit of a get together after the game last night, and I seen them and. They didn't want to be there. They didn't want to be there. They were upset. They were disappointed. But what they do, and what they've got a staff and a manager that does, is they harness that and they make it a positive. And that positive is, like Spacker says, we go again. We go again, and we push and we give everything we've got. And the quality that this team and this squad has got at the moment is when they do give everything they got, they end up playing 63 games, 3 cup finals, and finishing a point behind an extraordinary Manchester City team. So. Yeah, there are things to sort out, but as far as behind the scenes go, everything's all right there.
And that would be the point about defeats as well, Nigel, that every time there has been a high-profile defeat, there has been a response. You think back to Kiev, the next season they went to Madrid and beat Tottenham in the final. That season where they won the final, they were so close to winning the Premier League. The next season, they went on and delivered a first title for 30 years. Every time the character of the squad has been questioned, there's always been an answer.
Sorry, Rod, I know you said you're from Kiev. It started in Switzerland. Against Sevilla. That's when it started.
After Basel, yeah, absolutely. I was there. I was doing the commentary on that game, and just in the end, it was a little bit of inexperience, a bit of naivety in the end that we lost that game. But since then, it has really kicked on, and I think Jurgen is obviously the focal point of that. The players and behind the scenes, the recruitment has been that as well. Get players come, players go, but good quality has come in and taken us on to another level. But Liverpool are at that level where you're fighting on 4 fronts, and unfortunately, you can't win everything. We gave it our best shot, lost the league by 1 point to Man City, or owned by Abu Dhabi. Don't forget, then you go and lose to Real Madrid. The 14-time winners of the European Cup, Champions League. You're not talking about playing against mugs, and we're right up there with the very best. And if you'd said at the start of the season we're going to win 2 trophies, you take the 2 trophies, that's for sure. But people will look and say, well, the 2 bigger trophies you've not won, but you were in there. You lost by 1 point. You lost by 1 goal. You've got to a final. You've pushed Man City all the way, and you can look back at certain games over the season and say that cost us a point, or that cost us 2 points. There would have been the different. But you go again, and that's what Liverpool will do, and they bounce back even stronger. Yeah,
it was a difficult night on the pitch for Liverpool yesterday evening in Paris, but also some incredibly unpleasant scenes off the pitch as well. And Liverpool's chief executive, Billy Hogan, has been reflecting on everything that happened in the French capital last night.
Billy, you've just arrived back in Liverpool from Paris. The horrendous events outside the stadium completely overshadowed what should have been a really special occasion. Could you please share your views from the night and explain to us what happens next regarding the investigation?
Yeah, thanks, Mark. Yeah, just back, obviously, an incredibly difficult night, disappointing night. But as you said, what happened outside the stadium completely overshadowed it. I think the stadium entry and the breakdown of security in the perimeter was absolutely unacceptable. And frankly, the treatment of our fans as well. And so, as we discussed last night with UEFA, we are asking for a full and transparent investigation, an independent investigation that can help to establish the facts. It's absolutely imperative that we understand what happened last night and how we got into that situation where people's safety was put at risk. it's important that we understand what happened last night, but it's also important that we make sure that we take whatever the lessons are and ensure that it never happens again. I think, as an example, the Merseyside Police was on the ground just in an advisory capacity last night, and you may have seen they put a statement out earlier today where they talked about the behavior of the fans being exemplary, queuing and doing what they were asked to do in terms of queuing and being orderly. And in addition, the fact that fans were there very early at the stadium as well. Yeah, we're intent on ensuring that there's an independent investigation, and obviously we as the club will be absolutely a part of that and cooperative, and we look forward to making sure that that's done and done well.
There are obviously a lot of supporters still in Paris, some on the journey home still just now. What's the next step for those who experience the entry and safety issues, and how can they contact the club to share their experiences of what happened?
Yeah. First off, I think the most important thing is that we hope people are safe. It was an incredibly difficult night for a lot of people, and we understand that there were a lot of different experiences that took place over the course of the evening, and it's imperative that we hear from supporters. We want to make sure that we hear what their experiences were. We want to ensure that we get the facts. So we want to be able to provide those facts to the relevant authorities as it relates to the independent formal investigation. So over the course of the coming days, we'll be setting up a way and a mechanism for supporters to reach out to us directly and to be able to provide their experiences and their accounts of what happened on the evening last night.
Yeah, that's the Liverpool chief executive speaking to Mark Benstead a little while ago, and we would echo what Billy Hogan had to say there, which is we do hope that you are safe, you are back from Paris, you're okay, and if not, there will be people on hand to help you with everything that you went through last night. And Jason, you were in Paris, and what we saw and some of the things we heard are completely and utterly unacceptable.
Disgusting in a lot of levels, in a lot of different ways. Yeah, I seen firsthand, and I can reiterate what Billy Hogan has said. The fans were at the ground in plenty of time. We went on air for 2 hours before kick-off, and the fans were coming along. It was a great evening. The sun was shining. They were enjoying themselves. They were all filtering in a nice way, nice orderly way, well behaved. There was no trouble at all, and within a matter of half an hour, it just seems. It just shouldn't happen at a football match. I thought it was really poorly handled by the French police, by the French stewarding. The magnitude of that game and that stadium, they should be competent to put on that kind of event, and it was quite clearly that they weren't competent. And to lay acceptability at Liverpool fans and Liverpool Football Club is an absolute disgrace, and it's just, for me, it's just a cover-up by UEFA and the French police, and I'm glad there's an independent inquiry and UEFA don't get their own say on it, because we know what happens. But there was two sides to it. There was the going in part, which we just spoke about, and there was the leaving part as well. And again, the police, for me, were at fault. My wife was mugged, which was sad. Yeah, my eldest boy was attacked and beaten up. So yeah, it was bad, and that's just they're just two stories of a long list of what's happened. And you shouldn't go to a football match and have to deal with that. It was just wrong. It was just really wrong. Upsetting and scary, to be honest. So yeah.
You take a moment to compose yourself, but the parade is not too far away from getting started, and everyone who's come out and everyone watching at home will have the opportunity to see the players of both the men's and women's team that have delivered so much over the course of the season. And when we look at the men's team, firstly, Nigel, you go into the season thinking, can we play in every game? And very few clubs are ever able to achieve something like that. 63 matches Liverpool have competed, and competed is a key word, in every single one of them. Absolutely amazing, I have to say. To play all that number of games, high quality games. Some of the football that we played this season has been sensational as well. You look back to Mo Salah's goal against Man City in such a high profile game, but when the two boys are away at the Africa Cup of Nations and Jota came to a fore, he was absolutely brilliant as well. Diaz has come in and been absolutely brilliant, but throughout, Virgil coming back from a
long-term knee injury. You know, everybody's played their part, the goalkeeper all the way through, all the squad as well. And to play that number of games, high-profile games, and win 2 trophies, get to the final, another one, and lose the title by 1 point, Rob, you have to say it's been absolutely fantastic. And you know, the Liverpool fans have been spoiled once again on and off the field, but it's just a shame we couldn't get the one last night.
Talking of being spoilt, by the way, Nigel, it's lovely seeing some of the younger faces in the crowd. They think it's always like this every season.
That's the problem. But growing up in the, you know, in the 70s and 80s, you know, it was like that. But now these kids think that Liverpool are going to win a trophy or 2 trophies or 3 trophies every season. But hopefully that's the reality as well, Rob, going forward. But they're going to enjoy themselves today. The lads and the women, of course, deserve the applause going around the city today with all the crowds out here. It's a nice day, a little bit windy for our barnets here. My wig's nearly come off a few times, but you know, it's a special occasion, and it's not, you know, there's not many times where a club has won 2 domestic trophies in one season but competed on all fronts, Rob.
It's funny, like, just I'm glad we're off talking about that, but it's funny because I took my 7-year-old to the cup final down at Wembley, and straight after the game he said, I can't wait to do this again next year. It's just like they just think we do it every
and you
year.
said, nor can I.
Yeah. I'm like, well, we are taking it for granted, aren't we? I mean, what they're delivering season on, season off is just remarkable. The manager, I mean, it goes back to the desire and hunger of a team, not just as a bunch of serial winners, which is what Liverpool have always based themselves upon. You played in that team, didn't you? Serial winners, and it just becomes a habit, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does become a habit, and then the supporters expect it, the players expect it, but you've just got to keep evolving all the time, and that's the next thing, I think, with Jurgen, how it evolves going forward next season, seasons beyond this. But you know, some of the quality of the play has been absolutely fantastic, a joy to watch, and they should be very proud, this group of players, what they've achieved this season. I think people look back and say, okay, you won 2, you lost 2, but overall some of the football they played has been absolutely remarkable, Rob. And you know, we're spoiled watching them. When we go to the games and we watch it, we are spoiled watching some of these players and the team performances as well.
Well, there you go. The players are just boarding the bus. That's the men's team who've delivered a 9th League Cup and an 8th FA Cup this season. But also, Jason, we must pay tribute to the LFC women back in the Super League, where Liverpool belong in the top flight of English women's football.
It just didn't seem right. What was it? League 2? Championship, yeah. It just didn't seem right, them being in there. The back, you know, the remarkable job. You know, it's very difficult, as we know, you know, trying to compete against Manchester City. You know, it's a long season and it's your bread and butter, but to get the success is well deserved. It's been a long season for them, but back where they belong.
Yeah, it's felt like a long season for everyone, Nigel, but I touched on it right at the top of the show that we all deserve to, I guess, enjoy these moments, and every single one of us, everyone watching at home, everyone behind the cameras and in the crew, has had a horrible couple of years, 18 months or so, where life was difficult, where we all went to football grounds and watched in empty stadiums. So to have a season like this after a lockdown and a pandemic and Project Restart, it makes it seem all that sweeter, doesn't it?
Well, it's always sweet when you're winning things. You know, we're lucky to be supporting a club that is right up there, the very best in European football, week in, week out, competing at the very highest level, entertaining us. Some supporters aren't as lucky as that. You know, you're fighting relegation or whatever you're doing. But, you know, I just think we're spoiled. The fans have been spoiled, but don't get complacent about it. And I think that's what you're going to be saying to his players as well. We can't be complacent. We've got to keep evolving, keep moving forward. And next year we want to win all 4. And that's the mentality that you have to play for Liverpool, and that's how it's been over the years. But you know, we've been right up there, we've drifted a little bit and we've come right back, and over the last few years it's been absolutely amazing and immense what some of the players and the staff have put on for this great club.
And it's always days like this, and sometimes match days you get the sense of it as well, Jason, but moments like this, to just understand what it means to football supporters to see their team have success. And a lot of the folks who are lining the streets today and who head into Anfield, that's the week's savings. And even now, when life is more difficult in terms of being able to afford things, you put all your money away just to go and watch your team every fortnight at Anfield, and seeing them lift the League Cup or an FA Cup or get so close to winning the title, it makes it all worthwhile.
It doesn't, you know, when we went through the pandemic, which you spoke about before, football was the release, wasn't it, for us? Because they'd done an unbelievable job keeping it on. I know it was empty stadiums, it was difficult for the players to play in, but it's what we needed. It was kind of like we were locked in the house, we needed something. I was getting sick of the missus and the kids. It was just turning the match on.
Not sick as she was as you.
Well, she was sick of football by the end of the week. It was on every night, wasn't it? So it just gave us that little bit of release and stuff, and then obviously we gradually come out, as you mentioned before, and then we're back in the stadiums and back to winning football matches, because the COVID season didn't go too well for us, did it? But I don't take anything from it, to be honest, under the circumstances. I tell you what, it does show our relationship with the fans, doesn't it? It was it's remarkable.
But it does, and that was one of maybe my moments of the season, actually, Nigel, is being back for the first Champions League home game with the crowd against AC Milan, and the atmosphere that night was wonderful. We know all about European nights at Anfield, we've spoken about them so many times, but it was one of those moments where you really remember and realise just how special it is to have people in the grounds, because I take the point that Jason was making about it being the release football, but by the end of the times with empty stadiums, it became a little bit of a process. You just felt like you were fulfilling fixtures.
Yeah, but also out of that, Rob, is I think a lot of teams suffered because there was no fans there. Like we did. We needed our fans, that's for sure. Other clubs and other teams really prospered under that because there's no pressure. And I think you have to say that fans watching the game at home, it's not like watching it at a ground, but it's same for the players. The players need the crowd there to really push you to the highest level, and having that back. And I was there at the game with you, the AC Milan game. The atmosphere was fantastic. All European nights are special under the lights at Anfield, but that was a very, very special moment, having the crowd back, and everybody responded to that.
Talking of special moments, by the way, Nigel, this is not a bad way to spend your wedding day, is it?
Wow.
Hope those two haven't had to pay for all these guests, otherwise that's quite a lot per head, isn't it? But congratulations on two fronts, a parade and a wedding, all on the same day. And Jason, we looked at the moments there of...
how many people got coming to the wedding? 500,000?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. The fireworks were great, yeah.
Where are we going to sit them all?
Nothing to do with the parade, those fireworks. It's just for those two getting married. We saw the players there on the bus, accompanied by Calvin Harris, by the way, who was DJing just on the bus.
Far too old. Calvin Harris. He's like Pete Tong or Tony Blackburn. That's probably who you're on it. I know who you mean. No, Calvin Harris, yeah.
But we look at that group of players there, and again, you reflect on it so many times over the course of the season that pretty much every position at Liverpool is filled by one of the best five in the world in that particular position. It's an incredible squad, as Jurgen said so many times, the best he's ever had.
Well, you can't compete on all fronts playing a consistent 11. You need a good solid squad of amazing quality. I think where we're at right now is the youth players, the younger players in the team. They've had that experience through League Cups and FA Cups now, and the experience they've gained from that, they've matured really, really well, haven't they? The likes of Harvey Elliott, that year on loan at Blackburn has done him the world of good. Obviously been in and amongst around the first team as well. He's aged a little bit, so he's matured. Likes of Trent's matured. Curtis Jones has come on as well. So these players have all added, and when the manager looks around and he looks at maybe Curtis Jones, he doesn't think, oh, is this game a little bit too big for him to handle? He's got no worries now. He could throw him in and he does a job. We can all pick a starting 11.
Calvin Harris, by the way.
Oh, there he is.
There he is.
Oh, yeah, so it is, yeah.
Ably assisted by Virgil van Dijk as well, looking as cool as ever. But Calvin's spinning a few tunes, I believe the kids say, Jason. There he goes.
There he is. He's taken up about 4 or 5 spaces with that thing there, isn't it? We could have been on there. Oh, that's good. But yeah, I mean, the squad, the strength and depth we've got now is remarkable, and you do feel for some of the players that miss out sometimes, because we can pick for the big games, for the Champions League final. I think we all would have picked the same team, wouldn't we? Maybe the centre half position we might have changed, but we would have all probably picked the same team. But everyone is needed at a certain point in the season, isn't it? And they've all done remarkably well, and hence why we've competed for a quadruple.
Yeah, the beauty of being on air for 4 hours is we'll probably have the chance to go through them player by player and talk about the moments that each of them have had over the course of the campaign.
Has he got a set for 4 hours, Calvin Harris?
I imagine repeats come on by the end of it, don't they? It's just, I don't know, Sweet Caroline.
Remixes.
Remixes right now.
Remixes.
It'll be just Sweet Caroline time after time. One kiss by Dua Lipa, probably about 9 appearances, I'd have thought. But before we go through the players, I guess, Nigel, more reflections on the manager, who has just proved that he will go down potentially as Liverpool's greatest ever, and that is some company to be in with the likes of Shankly and Paisley.
Yeah, and he's got a few years left now, hasn't he, as well, with signing that new contract. I think that gives the club stability. The players know what's going on behind the scenes as well, the coaching staff, and obviously it's about recruitment again now, because you've got to keep refreshing it, as I said, and I think Jurgen's right on top of that. I think he's come out and said, you know, some of the players who've been linked to it's a lot of rubbish, but I think now all the games are out of the way. Over the next few weeks there'll be a lot of hard work behind the scenes, talking to players who are here who maybe want to move on, who haven't played enough, and then looking at trying to prize some players who are hungry, who want to come to Liverpool, and try and get them in as well. So it never stops for a manager. You know, the only time it stops is maybe when you can go down the pub with Steven Gerrard and have a couple of pints, as he did a couple of weeks ago.
I didn't get the invite for that, sadly.
No, they put it on your bill though.
I was washing my hair.
Yeah, you were washing your hair.
Looks beautiful though.
Yeah, looks good. Yeah. But that's the problem of being a manager. It never ends. You know, you enjoy the cup final win. The next day you're back. Well, I've got to prepare for the next game. And when it comes to the end of the season, it's about, well, who's trying to leave, who wants to leave, who do I think's not in my plans, and who can we bring in? So it never stops for a manager, and that's why you need a good team around you to help you through with that.
Just to touch on that, I think Jurgen was quite vocal about putting this parade on. You know, there was talk at one point, you know, the 2 cups we won, there was no parade. It was either a Champions League or a Premier League title that we won that was going to, you know, endorse the parade. But Jurgen was quite vocal in saying, no, we need to celebrate. I think that's off the back of winning the title as well after 30 years. You know, not last season, the season before, wasn't it? So I think he you know, he wanted the fans to have a big celebration, but also the players, and I think there's something in that. I think it's really good management. I was very vocal about not being able to enjoy the success of the success. They win the League Cup, they got a game 3 days later. They win the FA Cup, they got a game 3 days later. Listen, they've had Champions League, the league, they have to compete for the league. If they'd have won the league, they wouldn't have been able to celebrate, because the Champions League the following week. We've had the Champions League last night. Had we won, they go on international way on international duty in 2 days' time. So you must celebrate them victories. I mean, in our day, I mean, at the end of the season, we celebrate. We used to go on holiday together.
You celebrate every training session in your day, didn't you, Nigel?
That was Nigel's. That was nice. We weren't so bad, but we'd go on holiday together, and you know, it was a big bunch of players, and celebrate and enjoy. Not that we had much to celebrate about, but we'd enjoy it. You know, and it builds team spirit, but it also, they get the sense of, we've actually won something, and this is the feeling, this is what it's like, and I think that's massively important. So I think this is one of the reasons why Jurgen wanted to do this today. It's get these players on this bus, because they could have flew home and they could have just gone back to their own houses and just gone away with their international countries and turn off for pre-season training. It's important they celebrate.
And as you can see, so many people have taken up that invitation, and they are flanking the route and ready to welcome the buses as they make their way down here towards the Strand. And Becky Davis has been catching up with some of the Liverpool supporters out on the route.
Yeah, thanks very much. We are just on Queen's Drive at the moment, just outside the Navigator pub, where I think the bus is due here around about 5 o'clock. But I am with Joe, Stuart and Phil, who've got their specs nice and early. Joe, how much are you looking forward to seeing the team?
Oh, it's going to be great. I've seen all the players come back celebrating the 2 trophies that we actually have won this season, rather than the disappointment that we had yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely. Stuart, you've got your spec nice and early here, but I mean, it's great mood, isn't it? The sun shines out, everyone's got the horns and the flags.
Yeah, them horns are annoying. In all fairness, but you know, we were there in 2019. Obviously, big gutted they haven't got the Champions League, but it's been a tremendous season, so made up, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. As he says, you know, gutting last night, but the whole season has been incredible and absolutely something to celebrate here today.
Absolutely. I don't think there's a fan out there for another rival team that won one the season that we've had this year. So yeah, absolutely buzzing. Just hopefully give them a good set, come home, party if you like. Yeah,
and you're going to see 2 cups today, which I'm sure you're looking forward to.
Yeah, it'll be great. I'd love to see players like Trent and Mo just get the crowd going, make sure everyone's just actually feeling good about themselves after the last night. So
I was going to say, what player are you looking out for the most?
Jurgen Klopp, legend, absolute legend, and Van Dijk. I like seeing Van Dijk there as well.
Okay. What have been your highlights of this season then?
Oh, there's been so many really. I would probably say favourite game. Man United 5-0.
Quite an easy one.
At this point, 4 or 5-0, take your pick.
And I think maybe after the last few weeks, we all need a few weeks off, don't we, to kind of chill out. And I think that's a different bus we're seeing there, but we'll see the real one fairly soon. But in terms of next season, many more amazing memories to come, I'm sure.
I hope so, yeah. Hopefully we can get to a few more games. We're struggling to get through at the moment with tickets, but league title next year for me.
Okay, listen, guys, you enjoy it. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Okay, cheers.
Thank you very much indeed, Becky. And because it's been a long old season, I'm going to nick Becky's questions there and talk to you about your moments of the season. What stands out for you, Nigel?
I have to say, they mentioned it there, that the 4-0 against Man United at home, I thought for the first 45 minutes was some of the best football I've ever seen. I think we just bossed the game from the start to the finish. Man United aren't a great team at the moment, as we all know, but you've still got to beat them, keep a clean sheet. But first 45 minutes against Man United was brilliant. But the standout moment was Mo Salah's goal against Man City. It was a wow moment for me. I was sat there watching it going, wow, what happened? And I had to go in and watch it on the television to see how quick his feet were in the finish. Absolutely brilliant.
Apart from working with you, Rob, obviously.
Oh, Jason. Spoil me.
Moments.
You can buy me a nice cocktail later to celebrate.
Thank you. It's always nice to.
You're biting again by the same.
It's all right, I've got a Caxton from this last trip. I've got about £4 left on it. Moment, games. I think the two Man United games, 9-0 over, over 2 games over aggregate is remarkable. It's always nice to get one over on Manchester United, but to do it 9-0 is remarkable. Everton as well was nice. I think we started the season, individual things. Alisson making that save against Norwich with the 3 saves in one was just brilliant moments. For me, Harvey Elliott coming back from that horrific injury again. I'm a massive Harvey fan. I love him as a lad as well. Good conversation with him last night. He was down, but looking forward to next season. Great to see him back. What else? Do you know what? The League Cup final, as much as we criticise the League Cup as being the understudy to the FA Cup and the Premier League and the Champions League, when we won it, it was just brilliant. It was like I was with Peter McDowell, we celebrated, the crowd was just like this relief. It was like, because we hadn't celebrated the League Cup, the winning the Premier League with the fans and with the players, it was like we were all together. It was at Wembley. We'd won it. It was like on penalties, which was remarkable, wasn't it? The penalty shootout, and just to win it, and then Quaveen Kelleher being the hero as well. It was just a fairy tale. It was just an amazing day, and I won't forget that.
But when we talk about cups, Nigel, and you and me, when we were having a stroll earlier to get a coffee, which actually turned into a hot dog, and that's summing up how the day's going. But we were talking.
I didn't have one.
We were talking.
Rob had 2.
I might have a third. We were talking about domestic trophies, and Jason said there, the League Cup, which is the understudy to the FA Cup, and we were touching on how, certain teams in the Premier League, well below the level of Liverpool, they go into the 3rd round of the FA Cup and they rotate their team and they get dumped out, and that's pretty much season over in January. Whereas this is what, as a football fan, you grow up wanting and sometimes grow up experiencing. Days out at Wembley, moments that you'll never forget for the rest of your life. And there's been 2 of them at Wembley, well, 3 if you count the semi-final this season.
Yeah, but my generation grew up wanting to play in an FA Cup final, wanting to win the FA Cup at Wembley. I mean, I think it's diluted a little bit now because they play the semi-finals in there, but you wanted to play at Wembley in an FA Cup final. But with the League Cup now, the League Cup is the first trophy on offer at the start of the season, Rob, and all teams should be going for it. It gives you a chance to get into playing European football. If you're a Villa fan or a West Ham fan or whatever, you want your team to do well in that. We did well in that this season. We won it. We won the FA Cup. That's remarkable. To compete on all fronts has been a fantastic season. But fans want to win trophies. They don't just want to get into a European top 4 spot. They want to win trophies, and that's what Jason's touching on with the League Cup. To go there with your fans, to win at Wembley. Oh, okay, it was on penalties, but you still win. That's what fans want, but that's what players want as well. And then to go back and do it in the FA Cup as well, it's absolutely brilliant. Against 2 of the top sides in Europe, don't forget, against Chelsea and against Man City, and you actually beat them. And then you go on and finish a point behind City, and you lose to the greatest European team ever at the moment in Real Madrid, with 14 trophies in 17 finals they've played in. So, it's been a brilliant season, but you want something at the end of the season. We've got 2 trophies.
And that's, I guess, one of the old conversations that you always have about the way that football clubs approach things these days, Jason, is that when you're, old and grey and you sit there talking to your grandkids about your career, do you want to say, now come over here and let me tell you about that season we finished 5th? Or do you want to say, let me tell you about that FA Cup final? Or, I think you played in at least one World Cup, didn't you? Am I right?
Yeah, it was a couple.
One scored one goal, didn't he?
That was in the qualifiers, yeah. Listen, one World Cup's lucky, two's a coincidence. Yeah. Let's just put it out there. Of course you do, and Spackers is right, success comes by silverware, and you're right with that quote. I mean, Dean Saunders says the same thing. When you go to the trophy wall at the training ground, it doesn't say where you're finishing, how many times you finish 4th, does it? I mean, Arsene Wenger prided himself on finishing 4th place.
Said it was like a trophy.
It was like a trophy, and in some ways it's...
Might be for Arsenal, though.
Yeah, it's success, isn't it? Because it's Champions League and keeps them, and I see where he's coming from, because when you play in Champions League and it attracts a different type of player, keeps you in the limelight a little bit. Who knows what can happen in a competition like that? You get a bit of luck, you can end up in the semi-final, can't you? So, yeah, I do get it. But silverware is where your bread and butter is, and these players, I seen them at the FA Cup. We were pitchside, and they couldn't be happier winning that FA Cup. And it is special. It is special. Like James Milner and Jordan Henderson, they know what it means. I think it might have lost its kind of mystique maybe with foreign players, but certainly for British-born players, they get it. They get the FA Cup.
I think sometimes we misinterpret or misunderstand how much foreign players know about the FA Cup, and often they'll speak to you and say, yeah, that was one of the things I used to watch when I was a kid. I used to watch the FA Cup final.
Yeah, they do, but I think the modern game, I mean, this Champions League final last night, we were on air talking about it, and I said it's not just a football match. It's a show. It's the hottest ticket in town. It's probably the biggest sporting spectacle that you could go to. And you've got to prepare for that as a footballer. It comes with a lot of emotion. You've got to deal with I called it the razzmatazz that goes around it. But it is, isn't it? It's just that's the game. And foreign players, I think, maybe manage as well their egos. That's where they want to be. They want to be playing on that stage in the Champions League. And I do agree with you. I do think foreign players get the FA Cup. But if you think, if you said to Jordan Henderson and James Milner, you've got an FA Cup medal in your trophy cabinet there, I think they'll have a wry smile on their face.
Let's go back to when we were talking about moments of the season, those 2 Manchester United games. And Jason said it doesn't happen very often. In fact, never happened to have a 9-goal aggregate over the course of 2 matches. And I remember reflecting and watching the post-match when Jamie Carragher was on Sky with a couple of former Man United players and say, it's never like this. These games aren't like this. The golfing class. And OK, you can talk about Man United being pathetic, but the 2 performances from Liverpool in those 2 matches was absolutely superb. Old Trafford particularly.
Yeah, but you can only beat what's in front of you, Rob, and beat them on aggregate 9-0. Man United, your great rivals. It's good to keep them down there. I think they'll be better next season, obviously, but you can only beat what's in front of you. And the way we played, some of the football we played was absolutely magnificent. And I think, the first one at Old Trafford, I think the Man United fans were just completely shocked how outplayed they were, the golfing class. And then, as I said, at Anfield, the 4-0, the first 45 minutes was some of the best football I've seen in a long, long time from any team. And I think that's credit to all the players and Jurgen being prepared for that, because you can only beat what's in front of you. But they've done that throughout the season.
I think it's, Spackers summed that Man United game up. Them 2 games were like really, really well. But I think the spectacle of the season, the 2 games, was the Liverpool-Man City. I mean, the quality. Oh, how good were them 2 games? Yeah. I mean, they were absolutely brilliant. And then Liverpool then go to Wembley, where they shouldn't have done in the semi-final, because it shouldn't be played there in my eyes, like Spackers was saying. But they go and blow Manchester City away in a first half performance, 45 minutes, which was remarkable again. So yeah, the 2 Manchester City games stick out in my mind, the quality of the 2 of them.
Yeah, and that was what I was going to move on to, actually, that these 2 clubs, Liverpool and Manchester City, particularly in the Premier League, have set a new standard, haven't they? We know they have numerically in terms of points, but in terms of quality and how little margin for error there is if you want to win a title, either City or Liverpool, you have to be nearly perfect over 38 games.
Absolutely, you have to be near perfect, and that's why it's so close between the 2. But the other clubs have been left behind a little bit. You're going to see what happens at Chelsea now with the new takeover. You're going to see what happens at Man United with a new manager coming in and new recruits coming in, players going out. you know, and then you look beyond that at Arsenal, Tottenham. It's going to be a tough season again because they're going to improve, but that's why we have to keep improving as well. So, you know, the summer's going to be interesting, but I just think next season it'll be between Liverpool and Man City once again, because they are the yardstick for everybody else. And the big pressure on Man City next year will be to try and win the Champions League again. I think for most of our supporters it'll be about trying to win the Premier League again, because that's the bread and butter, and that's what Liverpool supporters want most of all.
I mean, the Gulf, 18 points Liverpool, 19 City over Chelsea.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just remarkable, isn't it? I mean, and you look at Chelsea's squad, I mean, it's full of superstars, isn't it? It's
yeah.
Like, and to be honest, they
£98 million centre forward.
Yeah, and they pushed, you know, they pushed Liverpool in the games they played against them, and we've seen it. You know, 3 draws, wasn't it? You know, 2 was it?
Chelsea.
4 draws over the course of the season. You know, so they were quite evenly matched in the games as well. And you know, the disappointing one, and Spacker's touched on it before. If you look at Liverpool and you think, where we lost it, games like Chelsea where they were 2-0 up and didn't manage the game well, and you know, we look at that as being drop points then, don't we? But you've got to give credit where credit's due to Chelsea. You know, they're a very, very good outfit. But we finished 18 points ahead of them. That is remarkable. City 19.
And when you talk about consistency, Nigel, over the course of a league season, that takes us back to the women's team, who we just saw on their own bus enjoying their way around Liverpool, that to keep churning out week in, week out. A lot of teams can win a cup because you can get through. Sometimes you have a nice draw, you know, it takes 4 or 5 wins. But to do it in the league like Matt Beard and his team did over the course of a full season, that takes something else as a team.
Well, I think you talk to most football people who played the game, the best team wins the league, but you do need a little bit of luck along the way. It's now going to be a step up in class for the women, you know, the likes of Chelsea and Man City, who have big budgets for their women's team, but to get back into the Premier League, and that's where you want to compete, that's where you attract the better players. It's just the same as the men's game now, and there's getting more and more people watching the women's game, going to the games, enjoying it. There's more girls playing the game, so it's advancing all the time. You know, I was lucky enough a few years ago to go and watching the World Cup, go and watch England against Scotland in Nice. I was out there and I was amazed at the standard, and it's just getting better all the time.
But that's what you hope as well, isn't it, Jason? That if you have a successful women's team in the city, that the young girls who are out here seeing their heroes on the streets today, more of them will think, yeah, I want to go and be a footballer because I see my team.
Well, it's exposure,
back in the Women's Super League.
Look, it's exposure, and you know, the lower down the leagues you are, the less exposure you're going to get. That's just the way it works, isn't it? So they're back in the big time, and you know, they'll probably get more coverage now, more airtime and more interest, and like we say, more exposure, and that's great when it filters down into all ages. And you know, the catchment now for girls, you know, the schools are playing football, aren't they, and local teams are setting up, and you know, they've tried to push it. It's been very difficult. It has been very difficult. It's, you know, we look at the American league, but we don't, our model's not the same as the Americans, is it? It's completely different. So they do it very well. Maybe it's something to look at, but you know, TV channels are trying to put it on the telly and expose it a bit more, and get more young girls interested in taking it up, and it's certainly coming on.
And I think also the better the England women's team does, the more it attracts the girls to go out and play and say, yeah, I want to go and try and become a footballer, as you said, and my local club is Liverpool or Manchester or whoever it is. I want to go and try. And you know, years ago there was a bit of a stigma about girls playing football. Now there's none, and it's schools are putting it on as well. The clubs are doing it. It's really growing very fast in this country.
And the point would be as well, the women's game is growing, but it's still at a point where if you really invest, and I don't mean that just financially, but just in terms of the amount of focus as a club you put on the women's team, you can climb quite quickly. So Liverpool could go from being promoted to being right up at the top end challenging if they approach it properly very quickly.
Well, I think the name Liverpool goes a long, long way, doesn't it, in whether it's the women's game or whether it's in the men's game. Or whether it's just trying to attract players to the football club, which is what the women are going to have to do, Matt Beard's going to have to do now. You know, it's a step up in quality. He's going to have to, you know, invest in the squad. He's going to have to evolve. So I'm sure there'll be new faces coming in, which bring competition for places, which is always good in a sports environment. But like with Jurgen, recruitment is key, isn't it? You can get it wrong, but if you get it right, like Jurgen's done, it can bring big rewards.
And by the way, Going Up is a fabulous documentary available to watch on LFC TV Go now, and it tells you the full story of Liverpool's return to the Women's Super League and is well worth a watch. Right then, Nigel, another one to chuck your way, player of the season.
Oh, wow.
Wow, player of the season.
You've got time to think about it, Jason. All right, Nigel.
Oh, thanks for that. I think Alisson has been absolutely brilliant again. I think Diaz, since he's come in, has been wonderful. That's a real difficult one you've just thrown at me. I think Joel Matip has been brilliant. He didn't play last night, and I think Konate probably was our best player last night. But I think Joel Matip for me would probably, maybe just shade it.
Why do you think he didn't start last night then?
I think because of the pace of Vinicius Junior down that left-hand side when Trent likes to get forward, and then that's the vulnerability, because you saw what he did against Chelsea, just staying in that wide position and running in behind the defence. I think with Konate's strength and his pace, his athleticism as well, I think that's why he started alongside Virgil last night.
Yeah, it probably just is. You probably ask Jürgen to just go pace, but we're going to delve a little bit deeper.
Yeah, no rush.
We've only got another 5 hours.
Yeah, exactly.
Poor Calvin Alice's fingers
We've
have
done
fell
half an
off.
hour, we've broken the back of it, it's fine. Nearly at the end.
Calvin Alice has got blisters all over them fingers. I think playing with Benzema in the national team, I thought stood him in good stead. And the fact he's played, was it every Champions League game? He's near enough.
Sure, everyone,
yeah,
but a lot
near
of them,
enough, yeah. I think to take him out of the team, could have been. I mean, and we've seen Jürgen's loyalty when it comes to Kelleher, yeah. And I just think, maybe. Well, I don't think maybe. I agree with you, Spackers. I think the pace of Benzema and Vinicius on the left there, and Trent. You don't want to take away Trent's biggest assets, which is going forward and putting balls in the box and saying, stay deep and just man mark Vinicius. You don't want that. So I think pace would be the major factor, but I do think the other two would have played in the thoughts of the manager, and poor Joel would have missed out because of that. But yeah, I agree with Spack. He's had a remarkable season. I think the staff have done a great job with him by managing him. And for that, I think he's had the season of his life.
Big Ibu's coming along nicely though, isn't he?
I think he is. I mean, I was lucky enough to do a lot of German football, and I thought he was a real prospect coming through, but he was always liable to make a mistake in the game where he lose a little bit of concentration, and that's maybe why early on he's only played a little bit and then been taken out. And I think they've worked, as Jason said, the coaching staff, I think Jürgen behind the scenes, even Van Dijk and Matip would have helped him, because that's what you do. Come in, just try and say, look, you need to concentrate the whole time. If the ball's in this area, don't switch off, don't get your side square on. And I think he's developed into a real top-class centre-back, and he's only 23 years of age. I was amazing last night. He's played for the French national team, but he's never played at Stade de France, and he grew up just round the corner last night. So that was a brilliant one.
I think as well, playing alongside Virgil van Dijk, me and Spackers and you, Rob, could look a player.
Oh, steady on.
It does help.
I wouldn't go that far.
It does help.
Even now.
It does help, yeah.
Well, that was exactly what I was going to say, actually, Jason, that we touched on how difficult football was during the pandemic and how Liverpool's form suffered in that season. But that was one of the biggest reasons why, because the big fella wasn't there.
Yeah, and when he got back into the team, it was great to see him come back, but it did take him a few games. He was a little bit rusty, as to be expected with the long-term injury. But yeah, he's back to his best, isn't he? Absolutely back to his best, and he's such a calm and influence on and off the pitch. He's a leader in that dressing room. He's a leader on the pitch. He very, very rarely gets caught out. There's nothing really he can't do. I'd like to see him venture into midfield a little bit more, maybe with the ball at his feet, but then Joel's been doing that exceptionally well, but maybe that. And maybe, this is me being hypercritical, by the way, because I love him, and he's looking after my number 4 jersey. I think he should score more from set pieces. Every time he went up last night, I was like, this is Virgil's moment. This is Virgil's moment.
We're splitting hairs now, aren't we, saying to Virgil van Dijk, if I could ask more from him. It's just he makes you feel so bad about your own life, isn't it? He doesn't sweat. When he walked past you in the tunnel and he hasn't sweated, I think he's been through 90 minutes there, mate.
He done after the FA Cup final, he came over and done an interview for us, and it looked, I swear, it looked like he hadn't played.
30 degrees.
Yeah, he hadn't played. It just looked brilliant.
If you can read the game, first 2 yards, as Bob plays in used to say.
Where is it, Spackers?
In your head.
It's in your head.
But that's the great thing about him, Spackers, is that he can read the game, but he's got an incredible turn of pace as well. And you will have both played with players who just the aura and the confidence it gives everyone else that he is on the pitch just makes such a difference to everyone else in the team.
Well, we had that with Alan Hansen, who could read the game, who was good on the ball, could bring it out and start things off. When I first came, Mark Lawrenson, who was beside him as well, so 2 brilliant centre-backs, and then Dizzy, obviously. So we were sports as well, but I think Virgil just makes the game look so easy at times, how he reads it, how he does things simply. simply, but also sometimes organising in front of him as well, because if Andrew Robertson, who's had a great season as well, pushes on and Trent pushes on, you need to organise people in front, and he does that so well. All the players look up to him, and I think, you know, although he's not the captain, Jordan is, but they're both captains in their own right in the way they organise things and how they demand it of the fellow players.
And it's a shame really, because, you know, we used to hate it, didn't we? We'd do all the donkey work and all the hard work and the graft and win it back and win headers and put our heads on the line, and then the centre forward who wouldn't do anything for 89 minutes would go and score the winner and get the headlines.
You're talking about Aldo?
yeah, I am. Or both. Yeah, both. Yeah,
and Rushy.
Both.
Yeah.
But he's an exceptional player. But it's key to the way we play, the way our centre halves are, which is quick and brave. And, you know, and that gives us then the confidence to condense the pitch, which gives the boys in front of them all the confidence to go and press in the final third, win the ball back, and then give it to the glory boys like Mo Salah, Mane and Jota and Diaz. So it's key, it's absolutely key that you have these two really quick centre halves who are very, very brave.
And I think so behind that also Alisson as well, who, you know, at times we do get caught with the two fullbacks forward, he gets in and he seems to sweep up, or he makes a brilliant one-on-one save where a lot of goalkeepers can't do the one-on-one, they commit themselves.
He's got the best stats, hasn't he?
Brilliant.
And he's faced the most one-on-ones.
Alisson.
Yeah. So it tells you, doesn't it?
And also the confidence he has back as well. I can't remember which game it was, but there was a game towards the end of the season where he tried a Cruyff turn and he just about got away with it. And I saw him at the training centre a few days later and said, "You had everyone's heart in your mouth there." That was, you know. And he just sort of shrugged and went, "Well, you've got to do it sometimes." And it's just amazing. He has that confidence in himself and his own ability, doesn't he, with the ball at his feet?
Well, I think you've got, as a goalkeeper these days, you've got to be good with your feet and you've got to have that confidence. But they work on that in training, you know, and that's what, you know, Kelleher, who's coming through, is brilliant with his feet as well. I think, you know, in the League Cup run, he was outstanding as well, not phased, very, and I think that helps with when you're playing or training with one of the, if not the best goalkeeper in the world. So it's bringing the best out of everybody, and I think it all starts from Alisson at the back, and it gives confidence to the centre backs, who then give the confidence to the rest of the team.
I think we need to give a shout out as well to John Achterberg.
Yep.
You know, the goalkeeper coach, because that's his department recruit. I know the manager gets a lot of praise and he very rarely gets it wrong, and a lot of the decisions are his, but John, you know, that's his job, you know, to bring in the goalkeepers, and what a job he's done with Quivin Kelleher. I mean, I was talking to him the other day and he said, you know, most Premier League teams would take him, you know, and to keep him here is testament to how they treat him and what the manager thinks of him. How long they're going to keep him remains to be seen, because when you've got the Wales #1 in front of you, you know, you're going to wait a long time to get in, aren't you? So to have him, and then he even praised Adrian, who's our #3, you know, what a goalkeeper and professional he is. So John, you know, he's a great fella, like we know him personally, don't we? And he's doing a remarkable job with the keepers.
Yeah, we'll come on to Quivin Kelleher in just a moment, actually, but as you can see, it is any position possible to get your best view of the parade this afternoon. People hanging out the windows, standing on the roof, whatever they can do, and Becky has been catching up with a few more of the fans.
Yeah, thanks very much. Loads of families are lining this through, and I've got two little ones with me right now. What is your name?
Kian.
And what about yourself?
Harrison.
And how excited are you guys?
Very.
Very?
Only a little bit.
Just a little bit? Come on. You're going to see Mo Salah soon. Who are you looking forward to see? You told me somebody else. Who are you looking forward to see?
Luis Diaz.
Luis Diaz. And what about you?
Salah.
Mo Salah, of course you are. In terms of the coach, when it goes past, what are you going to do? You're going to got a little song? You got your flags out?
I might just cheer, yeah.
Give them a wave as well.
Yeah.
Wave for the
Yeah.
Yeah. What about yourselves? You looking forward to it?
Yeah, really looking forward to it. Yeah, we really enjoyed this season. It's the first season I've ever been like involved, and I'm really excited for it.
Yeah, same really. Well, I've followed Liverpool all my life, but yeah, just thought despite yesterday's results, it'd be good to get the lads out and still cheer on them.
Yeah, it's absolutely one for the kids, isn't it? In terms of this season, though, how proud are you of the achievements that this team has managed to do over the course of the campaign?
Yeah, it's been incredible, really. I mean, to play every single game that we've possibly been involved in has been incredible. So despite losing out on the league and also last night, it's been amazing to watch and be a part of. So really buzzing.
In terms of, I asked these little ones who they're looking out for. Who are you looking out for on the bus?
Henderson all the way. Love Henderson, definitely.
Skipper for you. What about yourself?
Yeah, I'm a big Henderson fan. I love what he brings to the team and the leadership, but also Thiago, he's different gravy. Love him.
And I imagine you probably went to the parade in 2019, but how amazing are these days for the city? There's such a nice atmosphere. Obviously, it's building now.
Yeah, it's incredible. You don't get fans like this anywhere, and no club does it like us. So you've got to make the most of it while you can.
I'm going to let you get off and enjoy it. Thank you all very much. Thank you, boys. Thank you.
Becky, thank you very much indeed, and a couple of other favourite players for that quartet who are out, so we can maybe reflect on some of them. And particularly, Mum was a big Jordan Henderson fan, Nigel, and the question has been asked countless times about how do you follow the great man Steven Gerrard in terms of wearing the Liverpool armband. Well, he's written his own chapter, Jordan Henderson, as Liverpool captain, hasn't he?
I think he's written his own book now. I think, he's been that good. I think, you have to look back and say under Brendan could have been out the door, but he stuck it through and got those rewards. And I think he comes across as a fine young man. I think he's been a fantastic leader on and off the field through some troubled times as well, as we talked about lockdowns and all that. But I just think he's been tremendous, and wherever he's asked to play in that midfield, if it's a holding player, if it's squeezing the game up on the right-hand side, he does it absolutely brilliantly. And I think, he's had his injury problems this season, but played in the big games, and just hope that is a good summer. And he's not going away with England, which I think is a big thing. And
he's played nearly 60 games, played more than any of the other outfield players, which is a testament to him. But I mean, when Jason, we talk about character and we talk about the team responding to the disappointment of last night when they go again in August, it's embodied by people like him, isn't it? Because he in the nicest possible way absolutely hates losing and demands everything from himself, but also everyone around him.
I think he makes everyone else hate losing as well. He's not a good loser. He does take it, I feel, sometimes personally. I think, and I think as a captain, you do have to take a little bit more of the responsibility, because you probably do, because you feel you do a lot more for the team, don't you? So yeah, I love him to bits, and I bumped into him a couple of times over the last couple of weeks. He was looking forward to the Champions League, and I said to him, "Well, we'll have a good time, after the game." And he went, "Oh, as long as we win." So, and I was like, "Oh, okay."
Got scared and scuffled off.
Yeah,
So thanks, Jordan.
Okay, thanks, mate. But yeah, I just love his story. I mean, he was trying to be swapped, I think was the word. It was a Clint Dempsey by Brendan Rodgers, and he was big enough to stand by his beliefs and how good he was. He believed in himself, and I'm a big believer in that as well. You need to believe in yourself. There's not a lot of other people do, and he did. And he wanted to stay and fight for his position, fight for his place. And then a change of manager sometimes brings different fortune, doesn't Spackers? And it fell for him. And like you say, then he gets the role of trying to take over Steven Gerrard as captain. And success has helped him. Success has certainly helped him do that. Winning trophies, winning the Champions League, bringing the Premier League back after 30 years, lifting them trophies has certainly put him in that bracket. He's going to have to go a long way, I think, to take the #1 spot off Steven Gerrard or Kenny Dalglish, whoever your favourite may be. But he's certainly playing himself into the top 10 greatest Liverpool players. Talking of attitude and the way you approach the game, I remember once speaking to a lad who was at the Sunderland Academy with Jordan. I said, what was he like? And he told me a little story. He said, we were 16, and on a Saturday night sometimes we used to sort of sneak out and have the odd beer. And with Jordan, so not with Jordan. Jordan would come for an hour, he'd drive, he'd have a water, and he'd go home. And that's the difference, isn't it? Well, often you talk about the marginal gains, which makes a good player into a great player. Or we ask you guys, how did you make it as a footballer? Well, it's little things like that, isn't it? It's sacrifice.
It's sacrifice, but it's a mental ability to say, I'm not going out, I'm not going to have a drink. I believe that I'm going to be a professional footballer and I'm going to play at the very highest level I can. And I think he's taken that on. Hates losing 6-a-sides, 8-a-sides, Champions League finals, whatever it is, hates losing. I think James Milner is exactly the same. I think Van Dijk is probably exactly the same, although I don't know. But they're winners. And when I came to Liverpool, all those players are the same, but we used to be able to go out and have a beer because they were winning every week anyway.
A gin, a Drambuie.
Whatever it was. Yeah. But the game's changed, and you can't do that anymore. But I think in the dressing room, I think Jordan just epitomises you know, the modern day footballer who wants to be determined to win things. And you can enjoy after you've finished playing, you can go out and do all those mad things you want to do. But when you're at the very highest level, you want to stay there as long as possible at the best club possible.
I think as well, Rob, I think that modern day manager, and I've said it before, modern day manager now, you can't go into a dressing room and point fingers at individuals. You've got to do it collectively. It's you know, if you want to give out, you've got to do it collectively. It's a team that loses. You know, back in our day, you know, you were called out, weren't you? You were called out individually, and you had to stand on your own two feet. It was a tough dressing room, and you had to put your performances right. Otherwise, the manager would point a finger at you. And I don't think the modern manager can do that. I don't think Jurgen can do that. I don't think he's the kind of manager to do that. But he needs people in the dressing room who do that. You know, and you see Jordan Henderson on the pitch. It's not picking on players. It's not bullying players. It's just demanding. Roy Keane had it. Patrick Vieira had it. I played for Roy. You know, they demanded the best from you. They pointed fingers and they asked you questions. And I think Jordan does that. And it's allowed if you're a teammate or a captain. You're allowed to do it. It's acceptable. It's not acceptable to be a manager and do it.
But it's also that fine line, Nigel, as well, when Jason talks about calling out players as a captain or what you do and how you are as a captain. I remember speaking to Jordan before the game at the Etihad earlier in the season. I said, go on, take me into the dressing room at 4:20 on that Sunday afternoon. What do you do? Because everyone has this idea that a captain like Jordan will stand there and give this big Churchillian speech. And he says, well, no, they're all trustworthy guys. Like, I don't need to say a lot because I believe in all of my teammates as well.
Yeah, and they believe in their captain, they believe in their teammates as well. But it's how you prepare for those big games, how you mentally get yourself ready, you're physically ready, you go out, but you have that winning mentality. And that's what football and winning trophies is all about, having a winning mentality individually, but as a group. And that comes from the manager, that comes from the captain. But really, when you get out on the field, it's about giving encouragement at the right times. It's about saying, hey, give it easy next time, don't give the ball away, and getting the best out of your fellow players around you. But I think sometimes players lead by example, captains lead by example rather than shouting at people, and I think that's what Jordan does so well.
Well, we'll speak about the other man who leads the team so well, James Milner, in just a moment, but let's head back out and about and back to Becky.
Yeah, I've got a couple more fans here on Queen's Drive, just outside the Navigator pub in West Derby. We've got Lewis and Phil with me. How excited are you, Lewis?
Very excited.
All the horns are going off. I bet you've been looking forward to this for a few weeks.
Yeah.
What about your dad? You looking forward to it as well, I guess?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, I love when we have the parades. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to this one, even though it's not 100% the best, but you know, never mind.
In terms of the season though, it's been an incredible season. You really should be celebrating these achievements. 2 cups, which one are you looking forward to seeing today?
FA Cup.
The FA Cup. And what about players?
Like what?
What players are you looking forward to seeing?
Thiago, Trent, Jota, Salah, all of them.
All of them, basically. What about yourself?
All of them, yeah. Just delighted that we've had a good season, and hopefully we can bring it on to the next season as well.
Yeah, in terms of the season, it's been an incredible campaign. Kind of how proud do you feel of this team? And you're kind of so blessed at the moment to be a Liverpool fan, all the moments that you're getting to witness.
Yeah, of course. Like, it's one of the best seasons that we've had. We've just been incredible for 99% of the time. So just want to congratulate them when they come past.
What are you going to do when the bus goes past then? Who are you going to wave at?
All of them.
Well, listen, I'm going to let you get your spec so they can see you. Off you go to the fence. Thank you both very much.
Thanks.
Thank you, Becky. So from, Nigel, Jordan Henderson to James Milner, who is a man you'd probably trust with every task, wouldn't you? Sitting for your dog, cooking, scoring a penalty in a cup final.
Absolutely.
Just everything he does is professional and beautifully executed, isn't it? Still at the age of 36.
Absolutely, and he's right up there in the front in the pre-season doing the running as well. But, you know, you look at him there enjoying himself, smile on his face, enjoying the music. He's not the boring James Milner that people give him stick for, and I think that comes across in some of his social media things as well now. But I think you need players like him in your club. You need good pros in your club for young players coming through who can talk to you. And I think James, along with Jordan Henderson and Virgil and Andrew Robertson, are real leaders within the group. Okay, he's coming maybe towards the end of his career now at 36, but he's still got a few years left in those legs, I think, and he wants to go on for as long as possible, I'm sure.
Massively important he stays at the club in some capacity, and I think we had, it was with you, Rob, we had this debate, didn't we, and how it should be handled. You know, James is getting no younger, although his numbers he's churning out, you know, are phenomenal in pre-season, and he's a very fit lad, and he has still got something to offer. I think, you know, as he's getting older, the games, you know, they do get less. And I think he's got to be happy with that. It's whether, you know, he wants to move away and not be successful with someone else, because I can't see him going to like say a Chelsea or an Arsenal or a Manchester City. You know, maybe an Aston Villa. So, you know, he's gonna settle for, because he's a serial winner, isn't he? He's just used to winning. So does he want to fight relegation with Leeds, or does he want to be sort of mid-table, maybe chasing a European place with Villa? I'm not so sure. I don't know. It's really tough. Yeah, I think Jurgen can offer him game time and minutes, but it's whether that's enough game time and minutes for James Milner's head. But then he's got to accept that he's getting no younger. But I just think what Spacker spoke about before, his leadership qualities, how he is as a man, how he lives his life, his professionalism, that's what you need in that dressing room, and that's what you can't buy.
Yeah, and that's where the tone is set, really, is it? The fact that still in some of those pre-season fitness tests, you come back on the first day and who's at the front of the queue for the laps around the pitch? James Milner. As a player, not necessarily when you're an 18-year-old, but even if you're coming in to your mid-20s and you're in a dressing room, you go back for pre-season, don't really fancy today's session, and then you see the old boy at the front, you think, well, if that's what it takes to still be going strong at 36, then I better pull my finger out.
Yeah, because he can demand of you then, because he's doing it and you're not putting it in, and that's, you know, that's peer pressure, isn't it? And to be as fit as he is at 36, he doesn't drink. You know, you have to say he's a model professional that's now coming towards the end of his career, but he'll want to play games, and I think that's the balance that he's got to, as Jason just said, is the balance to say, staying here at Liverpool, not playing so many games, or maybe going to a mid-table side that you're going to play more. But I have to say, Jason mentioned Arsenal. He's the type of player that Arsenal need within their group. Some leadership, you know, someone who's going to demand of players, those young players. But I obviously hope he doesn't go off to Arsenal. I hope he stays here at Liverpool, because I think he's so important. When he can play in right back, left back, centre midfield, holding player, all over the pitch. If you asked him to play in goal, James Milner would play in goal and be really good at it.
I know you were just talking about him in positional sense there, but last night, if we're winning 1-0 with 15 minutes to go and Jurgen turns round, who's he going to put on? You know, I know we're 1-0 down. You're looking for a different type of player, more creative player. We understand that, but he's still got a value, hasn't he? And like Spacker's, then you can talk into what Spacker's saying. You can throw him on a right back if you're 1-0 up and you need him centre midfield. You could probably trust him at centre half if you wanted to.
You could trust him to do a shift in the canteen. You could trust him to do just about everything, couldn't you?
He could probably drive the bus home. He could probably fly the plane back to speak. He's probably got the lot in his locker, and you would trust him to do it.
Manager
fluent in Spanish as well.
Manager Spanish, yeah.
Oh, do you know what? Right, this is. I'm going to play devil's advocate here, right? Because we all talk about. I don't know where this is going to take me, actually. We all talk about...
You got 3 hours, so take your time, whatever you're doing.
I'll just sort of take me with what I'm going to say, not how long I've got. We're all looking at this football club now evolving, you know, in the future where Jurgen, you know, because nothing lasts forever, you know, moves aside, and we're all looking at maybe Steven Gerrard stepping into Jurgen's shoes. And we've all had that debate, what we think, whether it's the right time for Steven. He's still got to prove himself in the Premier League. But I think Jurgen's got this real sense of where Liverpool was, and I felt it when Liverpool sort of changed its idea, moving into the into the noughties. Was that the millennium?
Millennium, yeah, that's the word. Yeah,
I knew it was in there. And Gerard Houllier went away from the old boot room. I mean, Roy Evans was probably the last manager, my manager, to have that and to keep that. Spacker's had it, and I think it was fantastic. Gerard Houllier moved away, as the club did. I mean, commercially we moved away different ways. You know, the boot room went. He actually got rid of the boot room. And it kind of, the whole ethos of the football club changed. I understand you've got to move with the times. Didn't think it was right at the time, but, you know, his treble would probably tell me I was wrong, although they shouldn't have won any of them, but they did. But what I'm going to say is, going back to your question of James Milner being manager, I think Jurgen gets this boot room, and I get this, you know, we keep it within our club. And Pep Lijnders, you know, knows this club inside out, and if we're looking at evolving and keeping on the same road, doing the same things, then Pep for me would be the ideal, you know, shoes to fill Jurgen's shoes. But then who you're looking for as assistant manager? Why wouldn't you have James Milner? I just see the whole thing evolving into a beautiful Staff change.
What an idealistic approach.
It's nice.
It's lovely, yeah.
But it
and we
worked.
all dance off into the sunset.
Yeah, but don't remember it worked.
It worked.
Yeah, but it worked from the Shankly
You don't have
days
to
of
convince
them
me, honestly.
crazy.
James Milner can do anything as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, but
You
it
had him,
worked.
Kenny, didn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. But you go, okay, Joe Fagan as well. The people around the club as well. Tom Saunders.
Continuity,
yeah,
isn't
but
it?
everybody knows them, respects them, and it's all about a bit of respect. And then if you've got a good group of players, how you take them on as a new coach, because there's managers and there's coaches. And I think Jurgen is a fantastic manager. He's done his coaching stuff, but Pep does a lot of that now.
That's the problem
And
for Pep, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like,
So he would have to step
is he
from
a
being a
manager or
coach
is
to
he?
being a manager.
And so Brian Kidd couldn't do it at Blackburn.
Absolutely. McLaren's another
Yeah,
one.
some coaches can't do it.
Absolutely, and that would be the test. But I don't think it's about, and I don't know why clubs don't do that. I don't know why Arsene Wenger, when he was at Arsenal, and he knows he's coming towards the end of his career, why didn't he bring somebody in, maybe Steve Bold if it was, to say he's going to take over to me. This is the other things you have to have in your locker from being a coach to being a manager. This is what you have to deal with. Why don't you do that? And Liverpool maybe have a great chance under Jurgen to do that. I don't know if Stephen and then come in as and work besides Jurgen, if they get him away from Villa, of course, because he's on a road
The
there.
other argument, Spackers, as well, as you look at Manchester United, who had this culture in the football club which was created by Sir Alex Ferguson, and they changed the assistants, moved around a little bit. I mean, Steve McLaren was there, and obviously Brian Kidd and Carlos Queiroz and stuff, but the manager was still there, predominantly leading the ship, and it kind of did function really, really well. And all of a sudden you go away with it, you bring David Moyes in, who is now looking at it thinking, I want to do it my way. Now, for me, David had a big clear out. He brought his own people in. The players all of a sudden couldn't understand why so much had changed, and the success just sort of waned away, didn't it? And now they're still looking for it, and they brought in some of the biggest names in world football, and they still can't find it. So sometimes change is not too good. No, if it's
That's
not,
why you've been at LFC TV for so long, Jason, because change is not too good.
What's that saying? If it's not broke,
don't fix it. Hence why you will be back in August for that first game of the season.
Will I?
Pundit number one. Hopefully, yeah.
Hopefully, yeah.
I'm not going to sack you live on air, that is for sure.
Oh, right, is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, at the end
Am I
of the
on a
break.
free transfer?
Thanks very much. Now clear
Am I
off.
on a free?
Yeah, Blackburn TV at the start of next season, I'm afraid.
How much are you getting for me?
For you, it's free, nothing.
Is it? You're paying them.
2 espresso martinis at the end of the night, and that's it.
You're your agent now as well.
Well, yeah.
He wouldn't get very far advised his agent, let me tell you. Just talking of coaching staff, by the way, as we were about what might happen in the future in terms of the way that Liverpool's backroom looks, that's one of the great things, isn't it? That we've seen Jurgen win the LMA Manager of the Year for the Premier League, but also the Sir Alex Ferguson Award as the overall manager. But every time the credit that is given out to whether it's Pep Lijnders, whether it's Peter Kravitz, Vitor, John Achterberg, as we've touched on earlier, that it is a team game coaching and everyone plays their part.
Of course it is. It's a team within the team, and it's that respect, that understanding. And if Jurgen's away doing something, might be scouting somewhere, that he leaves the team behind with capable staff that he knows he's going to get it right and do the things right before he comes back. So it's about having that trust and that understanding, but also the coaching staff knowing what Jurgen wants. So there's no upset for the players when they're away. But the game has changed from being manager coaches now being manager to coaches and telling the coaches what you want to do, and that's what they do in rugby so many times. Is you have the head manager or head coach, and he gets the best goalkeeping coaches, striker coaches, defensive coaches, and I think that's the way football's going.
But the thing is, success, in some ways, things don't change. Like the training doesn't change, and we go back to the boot room. We still train like Spacker's team trained, and his team still trained like Ian St John's team,
which was basically 2 laps in the pitch and a bit of 6-a-side, wasn't it?
Yeah, but Ronnie Moran used to fill in a book every day, right? What the weather was like, what the temperature was, how many players stayed. So they had all those records from Bill Shankly's days all the way through to even when we were there. So it's a special club, but I think if you're doing things right and you're getting results, why change it?
Well, it's about an hour and a half or so away until the bus joins us here down on the Strand, but it is making its way, or the buses are making their way around the city, and as you can see, plenty of people are out there and enjoying it. So we're going to take a quick breather ourselves, grab a cup of tea, maybe a hot dog for Nigel, and leave you with the sights and sounds of the parade, and we'll be back with you very shortly. See you in a bit.
Please help us help you. Clear the parade. Sealed, sold, sorted. If you need any assistance, please speak to any of the safety schools or hotels.
you're watching the trophy parade around the world on LFC TV or across social media, we hope that you're enjoying your afternoon. It seems like the bus and everyone on those two buses, the men's and women's team, having a great time as they make their way around the city. We're going to get more from Nigel Spackman and Jason McAteer, who have refuelled, in just a moment. But first, let's hear from a man who's effectively saying his LFC goodbyes today. Divock Origi with Peter McDowell.
You were comfortable with it, but this is the last time you'll see the fans this way. Obviously, it's unbelievable. It's been a special season. Like we said, you fought on every front the whole season. And now being here, again, it's only in Liverpool, you'll see this type of love, even after defeat, after the final. But I really feel, still pain from the final, but overall feeling grateful, happy, and enjoying it, obviously. How much are you going to miss these boys? A lot. It's been 8 years. I've seen a lot of guys, the staff, the fans, and like I said, I feel like my purpose is done. So it helps to put it in a good perspective as well. I feel like we're in good hands. There's so much still to come for this team. So I feel what a cool guy. Look at him, big Divock, man. What a cool guy. Look at him in his black now. Curtis, you were a young boy when you probably first met Divock. He's been part of the fabric here at Liverpool, hasn't he? How much are you going to miss him?
Look, my guy, he's one of my main boys here, you know what I mean? It's like, I came in, I was young, and he was one of the ones who came around me, and took me under his wing, and he made sure I was good in that all the time. He always spoken that in training, he helped me out a lot, so I'm going to miss him loads. And he's a legend in that in the city, so he's massive for me as a boyhood fan. I scout him myself, he's massive for us and for all these fans here and for the whole of the team, so he'll be massively missed, but all the best.
Bro, you're in good hands. big talent, big player already.
They know.
Hands. Crazy. Well, listen, we're all really going to miss you, Divock. We wish you all the best. Play with you next move. Appreciate it, man. Thanks.
Well, Jason, we've said it so many times over the years. He wrote his own scripts, didn't he, Divock Origi, and he delivered for Liverpool so many times when it mattered most.
Yeah, I don't think he envisaged, after signing, he was going to try and force his way into the world's best front three as part of the plan. But that's what happens in football sometimes, and you can quickly fall out the pecking order, which he did. But then you sort of play a bit part, your place in the team, and you adapt to that. And like you've said, he scored so many crucial goals. I mean, it's difficult to actually pick your favourite. I mean, if I had to, I you know what I'm like with emotion. The derby, I think, with the Everton goal, where he scores, comes off the bar. That one, I think that was a very special goal. Another one, Barca. Another one for me was, you see, I'm a bit like that about the Champions League final against Spurs. I didn't think it was a penalty, to be honest, the first goal, Salah's goal. But then obviously Divock comes up and scores the second one, which for me was the goal of the game. So I celebrated like he'd scored the winner. So for me, that was the goal. So I'm quite fond of that one as well.
It's often, though, Nigel, I'm asked this question about people say, what's the best game or what the highlights of your career? There are not many to choose from, to be perfectly honest, but people say, what's the best game you've ever been to? That 4-0 against Barcelona is the first thing that always comes to my mind. But I think we always forget, or a lot of people forget, that Mo Salah and Roberto Firmino were injured in that game, and it was a front three of Mane, Xherdan Shaqiri and Divock Origi. And that is arguably one of the greatest parts of that fight back, isn't it? That it was a patched-up Liverpool team to a certain extent, but Divock delivered that night big time.
Yeah, it was interesting actually. I was doing the hospitality that night, and Mo Salah was just sat behind me with his T-shirt on, and he was up and down in the seat. But it was just an amazing atmosphere that night, and you forget that Mo didn't play and Bobby didn't play as well, and Divock did so well and switched on for obviously the corner and all that stuff, which is now history. And then going, obviously scoring the final as well. So being one of those players who didn't play on a regular basis, he's really made it, himself into the folklore of this. Yeah, he is a cult hero, and you go around there singing his name and all that stuff is brilliant. But he needs to move on. He needs to play, and I think he knows that he's only going to be a bit part player going forward. So you've got to move on, and he's got a great opportunity now to move forward to a big club. I do believe he's going to Milan. who just won the title in Serie A, and it'd be interesting to see how he does out there. But you know, he'll never have a career anywhere else like he's had here at Liverpool.
He'll certainly get in the Legends team when he needs to.
Well, you get in the Legends team, so that's not a massive achievement.
By the time he finishes, I'll probably be about 65.
You'll
so
be manager of the Legends team.
I'll probably still be playing, Rob. To be honest, I want to get my new knee, my new hip.
You'll be a man transformed, won't you?
A new pair of boots.
Like the $6 million man, I'll be like playing then.
Just chucking buffet balls into Divock Origi.
I love the word chucking. You don't chuck crosses
Sculpting
in.
crosses
You caress balls in, thank you.
But no matter how good the crosses are, it will never be as memorable, Nigel, as the 3 words, corner taken quickly. And Divock Origi, and that second goal against Barcelona, and just capped off the most remarkable of nights. But what I always find impressive about guys like Origi, and you could also probably put someone like Minamino into this bracket, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain too, is that they go for long periods of time where they don't play, and suddenly they're thrust into the action, but they don't look rusty. They put in a performance, you think, to Minamino a couple of weeks ago against Southampton, Divock in the derby, where they've not done a great deal, and suddenly they just come to the party.
Yeah, but I think that's testament to themselves, how they keep themselves fit, how they keep themselves sharp, but also to the coaching staff who keep them motivated. But you've got to be motivated yourself if you want to play at the very highest level. And being part of a squad is what the modern game's about. It used to be, 13 players, get on with it. Now it's a big squad, and if you're playing on a regular basis with that squad, you love it. If you're out of the team, you don't love it so much. But when you come in, you've got to make an impact, and that's what he's done over his career.
I think as well, Spackers, I think in our day, if you were taken out the team, you were basically dropped. And the only way to get back in the team was if the player in your position got an injury or fell out of form, and you just had to wait, didn't you? Basically, you just had to wait, and that could be a while. I think now, the modern game is they don't know whether they're playing from this week to next. They, especially with this manager, you could be thinking, oh, well, I've not played here. It could be a while. They've just won 5-0. Could be a while before they get in this team, and then next week you play. So I think the mindset here is always be ready, and I think they are, and I think they prepare for that. I'm not a big fan of no reserve team football. They don't get it here, so it has to be created. With matches, it's very, very difficult to create that kind of scenario, isn't it? The reserve team football for me was the closest thing. But they've done away with it, and I think sometimes that's detriment to the kids because they have to be thrust into the sort of the limelight through League Cup and FA Cup. That's the only way they get experience. But for the senior players, it's the only really place they get game time, isn't it?
It is, but that's where all the testing that goes on the training ground. Your bloods and all that stuff. See how fit you are, how you keep yourself. But I think for kids, that's why so many have to go out on loan now to get that game against senior pros, against men, where they're growing up in the academy system and they don't get that reserve team football, and they don't get the help of the seniors playing in reserve team football with youngsters coaching them through the game, because that's how you used to learn the game growing up, really, was senior players playing with you and giving you, passing their knowledge on in the reserves. So they miss out on that, so that's why they have to go out on loan now. But I just think all the testing that the clubs do now, Rob, the medical side of it, the massage side of it, the treatment side of it, is right up there with the very best sports in the world. And that's why these players, when they come into the teams, they're mentally prepared, but they're physically ready to go and do it. But don't forget, you're training with top-class players every day, in and out, and they demand it from you in the training field.
The other point about those guys that come in and out of the team and are rotated and maybe don't play so much is we've touched on the brilliance of the manager a little bit earlier on this afternoon, but that's also part of it. Jurgen Klopp saying, look, I know I'm, you cajole them, saying, look, I'm sorry, maybe 3 weeks, but this game, this is going to be one for you, and then you keep them interested when it could be quite easy for an Origi or a Minamino to think, well, I'm not playing, so why do I need to be interested, or why do I need to listen in this meeting, or whatever it might be.
They used to say that about Sir Alex Ferguson. That's what he used to say, listen, I'm disappointed, but you're going to play next week, so be ready. And I think Jurgen has got a bit of that. Listen, I'm sure the modern day manager takes a little sprinkling of all the best managers that's preceded, whether it's Jock Stein, whether it's, I don't know, Paisley, Shankly, Busby, you know, I'm sure they all take a little bit of it, and I'm sure Jürgen does.
Kenny used to say you're playing next week, but you still didn't play. Go knock on his door and say, Gaffer, why not playing? Don't worry, you're doing all right, you'll be playing next week.
Yeah, you told me that 4 months ago and I still haven't played, yeah.
I'm still waiting.
Yeah,
that's
good man management, you know.
Exactly, and you know, I'm a big fan of man managers. You know, all the best managers I played for, whether it was Mick McCarthy, Jack Charlton, Roy Evans, they all had great man management skills. It was, you know, it was an art, really. You know,
what makes a good and a bad man manager?
Every player has a different personality, and they accommodate that. They know the right words to say at the right moments, whether that's a kick up the backside whether you need it, or whether it's an arm around the shoulder. You always feel the door's open, and you always feel like they're honest. And I think when you get that, I think you run through brick walls for them. I think that's the secret to management. If you've got 11 players on the pitch, or I tell you what, if you've got 16 players in a squad who are willing to do that for you, then
I tell you what, if you go to that pub, I wouldn't order the Sunday lunch, because that chef is out there enjoying himself. Just whilst
there's a long wait for the lamb, isn't it?
It's a very long wait for the lamb. Yeah,
it's a slow roast.
Yeah, exactly. Braised, nice braised lamb shank. But he's out there.
Can you imagine being in a pub and saying, "Listen, I've ordered me dinner 45 minutes ago. Should you have a word with the chef?" Yeah, he's just on the roof right now with a "I love Mo Salah" sign, and "Can I have your shirt, Jordan Henderson?"
do you want a packet of crisps while you wait?
Yeah, on the house.
Right, let's hear from another of the Liverpool players then, shall we? Andy Robertson is with Peter McDowell.
Calvin Harris in the background, Rob, and Andrew Robertson here as well. You look a little bit happier than you did when we last spoke a couple of hours ago.
Yeah, look, to be honest with you, I woke up this morning, like, terrible mood, everyone did. You know, obviously, so disappointed with what happened last night, but obviously, dreading the parade a bit, of course we are, but then when you get on this bus, you realise the best fans in the world come out, and you know, it's lifted the spirits for all of us, and it will give us a nice ending to a really tough season. And you know, obviously we move on to next season, and this experience that we'll get will bring everything to us.
Were you nervous about today? How this might look? How this might feel?
Of course, you know, you want to win the big final, and when you don't do that, then you worry about how you'll be received, what will go on, how many people will show up. So, of course, that was in the back of all our minds, but my God, what a turnout. Like I said, best fans in the world, gave us something to be happy about, and to represent them for all of us is the biggest honour.
It's so important you do this, it's so important the fans do it as well, but you appreciate how much you should celebrate what was an unbelievable season for this team.
Well, we have to show the appreciation to them, do you know what I mean? It's been a long, tough season for us, but also for them, you know, in terms of, you know, how far they've travelled, how much money they've spent travelling every game, 63 games, home and away, sold out. We can't appreciate them more, and you know, it's more just a thank you to them more than anything.
And finally, doesn't it cost something like £1 million to get Calvin Harris to play in Las Vegas? Do you have anything to do with booking him today?
You know me, I don't take any credit for anything, so I'll stay quiet on that one, but maybe I had a little helping hand.
He's done a good job, hasn't he?
Not half, and yeah, he's only just getting started, so hopefully it's a good one.
Go and enjoy it, mate, thank you.
Yeah, great to hear from Andy Robertson there. It's really interesting, Jason, to hear him say we were almost a bit nervous about how we'd be received because they didn't win the final last night, but it's absolutely clear they've let nobody down with any performance this season. But can you take me into the mindset of a player having lost a final, what it's like? Think back to that FA Cup final and the next 24 hours for you, what goes through your mind?
Well, it's the worst because it's you know, for me it was my first FA Cup final. It was, you know, stuff I dreamt of as a kid, playing in the park.
Even the suit?
No, but like, you can't be the odd one out and get in and just wear a nice dark suit. You've got to go with the flow, haven't you?
You have the shades as well?
Yeah, I did, mate, yeah. We were under contract, weren't we? So, yeah, I mean, I was always Kenny Dalglish scoring the winner in the park in the FA Cup final. It wasn't the Champions League final, it was the FA Cup final. So, you know, to get there, because, you know, you're not invited, you've got to earn the right to get there. And And we got there, and it was obviously, you know, big rivals, Manchester United. So the game was a big glamour game. It was, you know, all over the place. Everyone was talking about it. It was the hottest ticket in town, and you know, we went there. The game there was so much talent on the pitch. We kind of cancelled each other out, to be honest. I remember Jamie having a chance in the first half, which he should have scored, but I'm over it.
Yeah, sounds like it.
And you know, Eric Cantona comes and scores a winner for Manchester United. I think we took him to the double that year, wasn't it? And I just remember the final whistle going, and I think you always, I don't know, you've done this back, when you analyse the game in your head, you always think, could I have done more? Could I have done more? You know, and sometimes you watch the game back and there's not, and it's just not your fault, and it's just something you've got to take on the chin, but it's horrible, isn't it?
It's horrible. I mean, it's worse. I think it's worse losing in a semi-final, because you never actually get to have the day out at Wembley and try and win the trophy, and the supporters want to do that as well, you know. But you get there. I mean, I was in that obviously horrible feeling against Wimbledon when we lost. But the big thing, we'd won the league. We were expected to go on and do the double, and we didn't. And we lost 1-0. Everybody knows the history, you know. The penalty save. We scored a goal which was knocked off because he brought it back for the free kick, etc., etc. But it's a horrible feeling being there, losing that game when you're expected to win. Your fans are turned up. It's been a build-up the whole week, because it's not just that day. And to go and lose to the underdogs, you know, you feel like mugs afterwards. But when the coaching staff come in and say, look, don't be down on it. You've had a brilliant season, played some great football, won the league. You know, it wasn't to be our day today, and you have to get over it. But that was the last game of the season then. That was because we weren't in Europe then. You weren't allowed to play in Europe. The season was over, and then you had to wait until pre-season to get back with the lads after you've had obviously the night out and get into it again.
Did you find it harder then to deal with because you were such big favourites? Because it was seen as one of the biggest FA Cup final shocks ever, did that add to the way you are after a game?
Can I just add to his question?
Absolutely.
Because we spoke about, you know, building the game up. Real Madrid, you know, they'd won the league 5 games previous against Espanyol. You know, the team hadn't really played up until Betis, the last game of the season, where you looked like he wanted a bit of momentum going into the game. You know, the last 4 games, I think it was only 1 win, wasn't it, in the 3? And me and Aldo spoke about it. Like, you know, they went in. We were talking about Real Madrid might not be really prepared because they won the league and it's all over. And he felt when you went into that game, you'd won the league, hadn't you, a few games before. Did you?
We had to play on the Monday night before, and that's when Gary Gillespie and I clashed heads. Right. And then we ended up in hospital overnight, and then that disrupted the build-up to the game. Who was going to play? Who wasn't going to play? Are you going to be fit? Aren't you going to be fit? That disrupted it. But in the end, Jace, there's no excuses there. You think we're Liverpool. And we didn't have the luck on the day, and Wimbledon tactically tried to nullify us, and they got the important first goal. We had the penalty chance, which unfortunately Dave Beasant saved, or Aldo missed, whichever way you want to say. But
let's just say Dave Beasant saved it. Yeah. Let's not talk about his name in that sentence.
Don't upset him today.
No, don't upset him tonight. My roommate. But you know,
not tonight, I'm hoping.
No, not tonight. I thought I was sleeping with you.
He's had no sleep. I've been with him all. He'd be asleep now.
Yeah. Johnny, yeah. But it was just one, you know, those occasions where you're big favourites to win it, and unfortunately it didn't go for you on the day. But you're devastated later on. But you had in the back of your mind that you've won the league, but really we should have done the double and go down in history.
Do you think it helps for someone like Andy Robertson that he's got such a massive game coming up, that World Cup playoff semi-final against Ukraine, possibly with Wales to come in the final? We know how much of a proud Scotsman he is, that you therefore don't spend all summer dwelling on what happened at the end of the club season if you can get your team to the World Cup.
Listen, dwelling's the right word. I think the squad here, the management, now they've been through so many different cup finals and emotions, whether they've won it or lost. You know, dwelling on a negative is not a good thing, and you know it's something that they've learned to adjust to. Listen, they have to get over, you know, the disappointments at the weekend. You know, did that play a part in last night's game? I don't think so. I don't think, you know, losing the league to a point to City at the weekend against Wolves played any part in the performance last night. I didn't see anyone sulking. I didn't see them upset or anything. So you have to get over it very quickly, don't you?
You do, and I don't think that pitch last night helped. I mean, I said, you know,
it laid 4 days before, you know.
Yeah, which is crazy. It looked really bouncy.
I'm going to say it now.
Bounced over people's heads.
We didn't say it at the time because we didn't know whether we could or not. But me and John Aldridge were pitchside, and the day before the game, and John Achterberg came out to warm up the goalkeepers on the night they trained. And and John was talking to John, and he's picked up a bit of grass, and it was like you know when you pick your carpet up and the whole thing just lifts up. It did that, and John Aldridge just looked and went, "Oh, there's going to be problems with this pitch," and it didn't seem that way last night, and it hasn't come out anywhere, has it, that there was a problem with the pitch? But
well, I think Jurgen in his press conference on Friday spoke about the fact that it had only just been laid. He said, look, I'm not going to use it as an excuse ahead of the game, or I'm not going to say it's affected how much I'm looking forward to the final, but the fact that it's been laid so recently is clearly not ideal for either side. Also, I'm a bit worried about your house, that you can just wander around picking up carpet. Just a slight concern about where you're living.
That's where he's practicing his putting on it, and then he moves it over there.
Yeah, just roll it.
You're not staying with me tonight, but definitely not going to stay with Jason, because you can pick up the carpet.
It's in the annex, the carpet.
Is it? Oh, okay, right.
On the west wing.
Yeah.
Next to the swimming pool.
Where the staff live.
Next to the swimming pool. Yeah, next to the helicopter pad.
Just a quick question then. We talked about the psychology of dwelling on things, and this team, they've always been great, and when they were going for the quad, they have this great mentality where there'd always be next game, and you ask them a question post-match, and within the first answer there'd always be something about the next game, or we move on to Wednesday, or blah blah blah. But therefore, as a player, when it's gone and the season is done and there's nothing you can do about it, wherever you head off now to Marbella or America or holiday, not me personally, but
Marbs, they don't go to Marbs.
I spoke to a footballer the other day who was going to Marbs, actually. I won't tell you which one, but he's off to Marbs.
That would be somewhere, I reckon it'd be a player from
He's a Premier League player. He's a Premier League player who's going to Marbs.
Wickham or something.
He must be
like
30 years behind the times then, isn't he?
Oh, yeah, Marbs. I thought it was Marbs and Doogs are over with that.
I think Doogs is still a thing. Marbs certainly, and there's an Ocean Beach club there, so anyone want to give me free entry? Excellent. Anyway, back to the original point I was making. I can't even remember what it was. So how long into the summer do you still sit there thinking about something like a Champions League final, or the way that the league finished, or whatever?
To be fair, Rob, not that long, because you've got to get on and have time with your family, go on holiday, keep yourself reasonably fit, and then get focused on coming back pre-season, and then what's in front of you once again, and keep up to the news on who's coming in your club, who's going out of your club, if it's you or not. But no, you can't hang around thinking about what could have been. You've got to move on and make sure you're ready for the start of the next season, and that's what football all really molds into one. And this season coming now, don't forget, we've got a season that's starting early. We've then got a World Cup, where some players are going to be away on World Cup. What are the other players going to be doing? And then the season again is concertinaed into a short space of time. So it's going to be an interesting season ahead for us all.
Got a lot of time for the use of the word concertinaed, by the way.
I have no idea what that means. I mean, close together. But my answer is slightly different than Spack, because I couldn't dwell because I was too busy playing in World Cup. There you go.
For any of our regular viewers who've been playing Jason McAteer bingo, I've played in a World Cup. You can tick that off your card. And whilst we come up with some other the most famous McAteer catchphrases, let's hear from the man who lifted those two trophies, the League Cup and the FA Cup at Wembley this season, Jordan Henderson with Pete.
Yeah, thanks guys. Calvin Harris still playing his part. Liverpool skippers with me as well. This fan base have the ability to make you feel better, don't they?
Yeah, it's incredible. We weren't quite sure what to expect when we come on the bus. Obviously disappointed with last night and how the season ended. But overall, the lads have given everything, and this is what it means to the fans. I think it's the least we can do is say thank you to them, what they've given to us this season, supporting us across the country, across Europe. So to say thank you, it means a lot to the lads.
Robert was saying a little bit earlier that you were a bit nervous about what might happen today.
Yeah, we weren't sure what it was going to be like after last night. We were all disappointed, a bit flat, as you can imagine, but this is what it's all about. This is why you do it. This is who we do it for the fans, and to see them out like this is incredible.
You lost 4 games over 63. The gap between success and failure is like a razor thin, isn't it?
Yeah, fine margins in football. That's the way it is. Suppose you could see we got a little bit lucky in the other 2 finals with the penalties. Luck was on our side, but then with the Premier League and Champions League it wasn't. So that's football. You've got to take it as it is. We'll still learn a lot from this season. been an incredible season. We'll give absolutely everything. The lads can be proud of what they've done, and hopefully we can use it again to go even better next year.
That's so important to remember, isn't it, that it has been, despite what happened with the Premier League and last night, an incredible season for you lads.
Yeah, I think we can take it for granted a little bit just because of the consistency and because we were challenging for all four, and in the end we only come away with 2, and would have liked to have come away with 1 or maybe 2 more, but you know, you can't always win them all. But we'll try, and we'll keep trying. Hopefully we can try again next year. But this is what it's all about, you know, the lads give everything and then to enjoy with the fans. We missed this a few years ago when we won the league, so to spend it with them now is really special.
You deserve a holiday and you'll have that, but you know, in probably 2 weeks' time you'll be thinking about next season again, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, I need a break, but I think we all need a break, just to recharge the batteries, switch off for a little bit, spend time with the family. But you're right, after a few weeks we'll start itching to get back, and hopefully when we come back for pre-season we're ready to go again.
Well done, Skip, thank you.
Yeah, Jordan Henderson with Pete McDowell there, and a couple of interesting things to pick up on. Firstly, Jason, what he said right towards the end of that interview, I need a break. How wearing the last few months have been. Liverpool have been playing cup finals since it feels like the middle of January.
It's the mental break, I think. And he alluded to it, Ed, and he wants to get to with the family. Listen, footballers, that's moved on from our day. You know, I think there's a lot more sacrifice by footballers today's modern football. I think they do sacrifice more than what we did. I think there's more. I think training's different. I think times are different. I think what they have to do, you know, to look after their bodies, you know, and I think, you know, not spending time with their wives, the families, the girlfriends, whatever, that's a sacrifice as well. Yeah, it's great when they all get together in these kind of scenarios, but you've got to earn the right to be in this scenario, and sometimes it doesn't always go right. But yeah, they need a mental break from it, because it has been Saturday, Wednesday for as long as I've known it.
No, absolutely. And when you're competing on all fronts, that's what happens. You're away in hotels, you're travelling, you're in aeroplanes, you're in buses, whatever you are. You're not sleeping in your own bed. You know, it's tiring. And you know, when you're playing in European Cups finals as well, you know you've had a long season away in hotels, Rob. It does drain you in the end, and you want to spend time with your family for sure. But really, you just want to get away from it for a little bit, switch off, have a good holiday, and then focus on the next season.
And to be fair, Rob, just touching on that, you think Manchester City were 14 points ahead in January, albeit with 2 games in hand, Liverpool. But every game, you know, they couldn't afford to lose.
Yeah, that's part of what I meant by the cup final thing, is that
you just can't lose a game.
Yeah,
it was just crazy. It was just like so the pressure of that is phenomenal. Going into that every game, knowing you can't lose, it plays its part in that mental pressure.
But mental pressure as well, and you will both know, of being a Liverpool player. And we touch on sometimes when signings come into a club like Liverpool, and you've come from abroad, or you've come from a club further down the Premier League, where you think, I can have an afternoon off here and not do much if you play for a certain Premier League club, and no one really mentions it, or no one watches it on Match of the Day. Whereas if you have a bad game as a Liverpool player, you know, it's a headline, it's a discussion point on the telly as to what was wrong with so-and-so today.
Yeah, but you know, if you're playing at a top club and you're expected to be winning things or competing for things, there's no hiding place, Rob. You know, as you said, the television involvement, but those fans who turn up and watch every week, everybody's got an opinion, who's good, who's played well, who hasn't played well, who should be in the team, who shouldn't be in the team. You've got to go out there and give it your best shot, and that's why I think if you talk to top players, it's about giving 100% game in, game out, and then hopefully your skill or your better players come out on top. But you know, there's no hiding place in football. If you want to play at the highest level, you've got to give it. You've got to, you know, live your life properly off the field. And we used to get away with things off the field when we were playing. There wasn't that intrusion. But now you've got social media, but you've also got telephones where people can video you, take pictures of you, get hold of you. You know, so we were lucky, really,
it's
in a way.
Really, because I mean, we were very accessible, weren't we? I mean, if you wanted to, you know, you wanted to go out on a Saturday night, you could bump into Nigel Spack when we're having a nice Italian meal somewhere in the city centre. You know, you very rarely see them now, do you? Because, like Spack has said, you know, they only need 1 drink there, and everyone's assuming they've had 10. You know, and they don't even have to have a drink there. And a rumour straight on social media is, I've just seen him and he's whatever. You know, it's just too hard, and they don't need the hassle of it. They don't need, you know, to justify themselves when they haven't done something. So they just stay away from being, you know, being accessible, and it's a shame really, because sometimes you feel you don't really know them, you know, and it is a shame because there are some massive personalities, and you look on that bus there, you know, the personalities are coming out on that, but you see like Curtis Jones, so Mikas is, you know, they're lively boys, aren't they? You know, they love it, they love a good time, and they'll be dancing away there. So it's nice to see him in that environment, because we see him in a very, very professional environment, and it's all the time really, isn't it?
But it's quite clear as well that we were touched on recruitment through the course of the afternoon, but also that part of that job is recruiting the right type of personalities. And I think we've spoken before about ex-Liverpool players where the phrase has been used, you know what, the whole thing was just a little bit too much for them. But the new signings who come into here seem to be sort of ready to go, ready to just slip in, and not just ability-wise, but they're up to the task in terms of the exposure.
Yeah, but in the old days, I have to say, Rob, is the clubs used to find out about players, ask people about players if they knew them, what their personality was, what they're like off the pitch, do they conduct themselves properly, are they good trainers? And I think clubs went away from that, especially when a lot of foreign players started coming into the English league. They didn't quite do their homework quite as well. But I think clubs like Liverpool have really taken that recruitment level on and up, and really doing background checks on everybody. It's like the young lad who's going to come in from Fulham, Cavallo, you know, a lot of clubs wanted him. Liverpool to put their homework in. I think he's going to be a quality player of the future, and he's going to sign in July. So, you know, another one to come in, but they don't expect him to come in and not be a success. They expect him to come in and be a success, because that's why they're bringing him.
It's lifestyle as well, isn't it? It's how they live their life, you know. I mean, old managers back in the day would love you married because they used to think you'd stay in a bit more. It'd be the opposite, to be honest. But that was that's how they thought, wasn't it? It's like,
get married early and you'll be all right.
Lovely girl, like, you're going out with her. You want to marry her? I'm only 17, Gaffer. Yeah, get married.
A bit of these little parts of your private life, Jason, sort of half trophy parade, half marriage counselling, the amount of times you said you like being out of the house. Anyway, the Liverpool players are out of the house, they're on the bus, they're heading through Truebrook at the moment, but the Strand just beneath us here in the city centre, just beneath the Liver building, there it is. Good timing, but it is starting to fill up, and there are people here very, very early this afternoon getting the best possible spot here on the Strand, but there are more and more red shirts, there are people of all ages, there's a little baby down there with mum, looking forward to seeing possibly the first, well, it must be the first trophy parade because he's definitely not 3 years old, so it'll be the first time he sees that sort of thing. And there is the bus, which will be with us in what, maybe 40 minutes or so's time, but everyone who is getting the chance to see the Liverpool men's and women's teams with their various trophies are enjoying their afternoon. We're going to take a quick breather, just enjoy the sights and sounds of the parade, which you're enjoying live on LFC TV. We'll speak to you again in a few minutes' time.
and Liverpool. I'm just so proud of Liverpool FC this season. They've been brilliant.
What about yourself, Demi? It's amazing down here this afternoon.
Yeah, they have done amazing. Can't believe how good they've done. Done absolutely amazing. I can't believe it. Amazing to be here.
Yeah, you're going to see 2 trophies today, but it's been an incredible campaign, and as you say, one to be really proud of, and to celebrate here today, which everyone is.
Yeah, I'm absolutely amazing. What they've done is absolutely incredible to be here. Do you know what? It's the best feeling ever. It is the best.
I've got some little ones here. Can I ask, what's your name? Ava, and who's your favourite player, Ava? Mo Salah. Do you think you're going to see him a bit later on? Can you give him a little wave? What about yourself?
Let's see. My favourite player is Mo Salah.
Mo Salah again. Why do you love Mo Salah? Come on. As if I need to ask.
He's just
What about yourself? What's your name? Who do you love? Who are you going to give it a big wave to when the bus goes past? Mo Salah again. We've got 3 votes for Mo Salah. Do you like anyone else in the team? I was going to say, what about the boss? You got the best manager in the world, haven't you?
Done amazing since Klopp come, haven't we? Amazing. Klopp's the best, definitely. Best we've had.
Let's pick out some of your moments of the season. What are your best moments of this campaign?
Every game's been the best season, just watching every single game and just seeing how far they've come. I couldn't be prouder of Liverpool.
You see events like this and you must feel so lucky to be a Liverpool fan right now, because you're getting to experience so many highs with this team.
Yeah, you do. It has been good this season. Never seen a season like it. It has been brilliant. You know, we've won a lot. We've won quite a few now, and that's the best we can do, isn't it?
Okay, well, I think we're not too far away from the bus coming, so I'm going to go and let you get your spec. But thank you very much. with me, there's the helicopter hovering just in the background, so that means the bus is not too far away. Going to be honest, you were going to do it with your wife, weren't you? And she's bailed on you at the last minute, so you've been brave doing it on your own.
That's how women roll. Girls bail on at the last minute, to be fair. That's just a woman thing.
How excited are you to see them?
I'm made up. I can't wait to see the team bus come past. Regardless of what we've won, is what we've won. 2 cups out of 4 is not bad, so.
What an incredible vibe it is down here at the moment. The atmosphere, the party atmosphere is brilliant.
It's amazing, but yeah, we don't even have to celebrate anything. It's just we are just celebrating anything.
You have got 2 trophies to celebrate, the FA Cup, the Carabao Cup. I mean, it's been 15 years since the FA Cup was paraded through the streets of this city, so that's one to celebrate on its own.
Yeah, of course, like any silverware at all, 1 is better than none, 2 is amazing. To be fair, 3 or 4 would have been nice, like, but to be fair, it is what it is. We've won 2 out of 4, which amazing all day.
It's pretty good going, isn't it? You've probably witnessed a few Liverpool teams over the years. I mean, how does this current side compare to other ones you've seen in the past? Right up there with the best?
To be fair, when I grew up, Ray Clements was in goal, Kenny Dalglish was playing, and then you go through the phase of Steven Gerrard, and then obviously you got Virgil van Dijk, Rob, Mane, Salah. Just amazing players, and that's what makes us so the team as it is. Amazing.
Certainly is. They are amazing days. We're going to let you get your spec because it's coming quite soon, the bus, I think. So thank you very much.
No worries, thank you.
No, right away from day one, the group were fantastic, and everyone's contributed, players, staff, throughout the whole season. And like it said, like you listen to the players on the documentary, it is like a family, and that's why we've had the success that we've had, because we've been like a family.
You mentioned on your first day back here how much the club meant to the city and the people, and obviously you can see behind us, incredible.
Unbelievable. I've said it all the time, never worked anywhere like it. Just lucky enough that I get to work here, and I mean, it's unbelievable. Look, unbelievable.
And time for a bit of a rest and a recharge now, but how much are you looking forward to the WSL as well?
Yeah, no, we're really looking forward to it. It's going to be tough, we know that, but we're really looking forward to it.
And have you began to plan and think about next season already? A long time alongside Russ as well?
Yeah, we're pretty much done on our recruitment. We've been planning probably since February what we wanted to do. But obviously, once we got it confirmed, then we could really put the wheels in motion. So yeah, we're quite advanced in what we want to do, and yeah, we're looking forward to a break and then getting back in July.
How important is next season, just like this season, the whole squad pulling together as they have done this year, and people who aren't playing have just as much impact as those on the pitch as well?
Yeah, no, definitely. Look, football's not just about 11 people anymore, it's a squad game. Everyone has an input into, or an impact, whatever way you want to look at it, over the course of the season. So it's going to be so important we have that same togetherness that we've had this year, and it's going to be a tougher year, but we're looking forward to it.
Thank you very much, go and enjoy it, mate. Taylor, obviously an incredible season, but just how special is it to be here today and see all these scenes?
Honestly, it's unreal. Like, the fans are amazing, and obviously to be a part of the men's celebration, to celebrate ourselves as well, it's just amazing. And you can hear it, you can see it, it's just so good to be here.
How enjoyable has it been this season with the closeness of the group, and you're doing it with your best friends as well?
It's like a family. It's not even best friends, it's like we're a family, and that's what Beanie wanted from the start of the season, and we made that with ourselves as well. So no, it's good. It's a great group of people to do it with.
20 games unbeaten, an incredible run. Obviously, how impressed have you been with the culture that's already been built by Matt and his staff, and like I say, the togetherness within the group?
Yeah, I think from the start we trusted what Matt said, to be a family, to be together, and not just to trust the players but to trust the staff as well, and I think it clearly shows that we did that throughout the season.
And you've had brilliant success not only with Liverpool but playing for England under 23s. What are your ambitions moving forward, and how much are you looking forward to the WSL next season?
Yeah, I think definitely WSL is where we want to be. Personally, I want to be playing every game, and I've just got to work hard myself and obviously try and get that England opportunity as well. But credit to Beardy, giving me the confidence and making me just play with a smile on my face, and I think that's the most important thing.
I know you were with the other half of the city before moving here, but how much has Liverpool become your home in terms of not only the city but this club as well?
Yeah, we forget about that part. But no, Liverpool itself, the people are so nice, and that's what I've always said, and obviously just being in Liverpool, I love it, and that's what's made me really want to stay here and obviously sign a new contract as well, not just for the team itself and being happy with the team, but being happy within the city as well. And I think obviously people in Liverpool are just amazing and so friendly as well.
Well, there you go, the thoughts of Matt Beard and Taylor Hines, part of that fantastic LFC women's squad and management team as well, that have won promotion back to the WSL, and they will be in there alongside the big teams like Manchester City and Chelsea, the champions, and Arsenal next season. And we're looking forward to plenty more coverage. And as I mentioned earlier on, I've not seen it going up, the story of the women's season and their return to the top flight of English women's football is well worth a watch and available on demand on LFC TV Go. Nigel Spackman, Jason McAteer still alongside me. Let's head back though to the men's team bus and get the thoughts of John Achterberg and Pep Linders with Pete.
We are with the Dutch contingent of Pep Linders and the goalkeeper coach John Achterberg. Some people might need reminding, Pep, we lost last night. What would have happened if we'd have won?
Yeah, it's insane, no? I think we see the scout soul today. There's something bigger than winning, and if the people are proud when you lose, that's, I think, the next level. And yeah, what a season. Huh?
What kind of energy does this give you, John, to see the fans out in force like this?
Yeah, it's just unreal, you know, what that gives to all the players and the coaches. You just make you desperate to win more, really, and the enjoyment what the people give to the players and the staff is unreal, really.
So many of the players were saying they didn't really know what to expect, Pep, whether people would turn out, how many would be on this road, that road, but they've answered all of your worries now.
Yeah, I think this is the best remedy, no? See your family after the game immediately if you lose, and see all the fans with this pride. That's the best remedy for losing a game like that. But overall, we just have to be proud, and that's the feeling we have. So the feeling that we can continue with this team to work overrules all the feelings of losing.
I have to let people in on a little secret that I was stood next to Pep and he said to me, next time we do a parade, I'm going to do it as a fan.
That's me, yeah. My next life, I will be a fan, that's for sure. It's insane, I love it. The passion, we have to cherish these moments because being a Liverpool supporter is this moment in this era, with this team, with so much joy in their feet, with so much passion, and we have to shout as loud as we can because, enjoy it before it will end. So.
That's been a big theme this year, John, that the fans have enjoyed every match day like it's been a carnival, and this is the culmination of it. You've won 2 trophies this year. No teams really do that in a lifetime, let alone a season.
Yeah, but that's why with one of the best clubs in the world, if not the best, no? You can see no one can reproduce the support we have. You can see that everywhere you go. I sometimes get tears in my eyes looking at the passion that people give, you know. It's mad, it's true. It's really true.
We love that as well. Tell us about the Germany versus Holland paddleball, because you play it against Jürgen and his
I think the only reason why this is working is that they are not real Germans and we know real Dutch guys. Otherwise it would not have worked.
What's Peter got to say about that?
Didn't hear what you say, but it's great, yeah. Imagine we would have won. Unbelievable.
Enjoy it, boys. Well done, thank you.
Yeah, great to hear from the team behind the team there. Hope you're enjoying our coverage of the trophy parade, the FA Cup and League Cup winners on the men's side and the Championship winners on the women's side as well. Not too long until the buses make their way down here onto the Strand and the horns are being sounded and the atmosphere is building very nicely ahead of the arrival of both of those buses. We're going to head back to the first team bus though now, and Pete's got a few of the players alongside him.
Well, Trent, you took a while to warm up to this one today. You could tell the disappointment was still on your mind this morning.
Yeah, you know, it was always going to be like that. I think, you know, it's hard to gauge how this was going to go today, but you know, I think with the fans here, it's been outstanding. So, you know, you get into the mood of it, and it's you know, it's been an amazing turnout.
Amazing season as well.
Yeah, unbelievable season. You know, it's ended in a bit of disappointment, but in the grand scheme of things, we've got 2 trophies, and start the season, you say you get them 2 trophies, I think everyone would say yeah, okay. So, you know, we're proud of how far we've come, and yeah, we're proud of ourselves no matter what.
And is that going around the dressing room at the moment for the ones that are feeling a bit down like you are, that you're trying to G each other up to say, come on boys, we've had an unbelievable experience, we've done so well this year?
Yeah, still two trophies. You know, we've missed out on 2 trophies at the very end, which, you know, puts a little bit of a down on things, but at the end of the day, we've still got 2 trophies out of 4 that were available, more than any other English team, so, you know, we've got to be proud of ourselves and we're happy with the season.
The manager was saying to us before that it's important that you celebrate these moments. Is that something he said to you as well as a group of players?
Yeah, you can never get used to winning trophies. You know, this feeling's amazing. To come out, celebrate with the fans, our families, our friends, everything is amazing. So, you know, we can't get complacent, and you gotta celebrate these, because you never know, we might never win a trophy again, but you know, we're excited about today.
It's very unlikely with this team though, Trent. You feel like, do you have that feeling that next season you'll go again?
100%, you know. Yeah, it gives us motivation to go again. There's no doubt that next season we'll have our hands on some trophies again, so So I was enjoying today, getting some rest in over the summer, and then coming back to win more trophies next year.
I was going to say, finally, you're looking forward to getting your feet up.
Definitely, it's been a long season, a lot of games, a lot of games. But you know, yeah, it's all been worth it, and it'll be. I'll enjoy the rest.
Your mates here, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain making his way up the steps. Alex, what a club. Not many people would guess if they were looking at this that Liverpool lost in a final last night. What an unbelievable reception you're getting as a group of players.
Yeah, it's pretty special. It'd be nice if Trent actually waved back every now and again. Never seen a ruder Scouser in all my life, but other than that, we're having a great time. But yeah, no, they're a special bunch of people, and every time, I know we've done it before, but it's special every time. It's amazing.
Millie says it to you a lot, doesn't he? Never get bored of this feeling, boys. Soak it all up.
Every sort of 15 minutes, I'm just getting a grab on the shoulder from Millie, and I know that's him saying, soak it in. Just take it in, don't get bored of it, because he's been round the block, he's done it all, so yeah, that's where we're at with that one.
Let people in on a secret, because he drinks orange juice till 4 o'clock in the morning on these occasions, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. Can't say the same for myself today. However, we're having a great time. He's having a great time on the orange juice, and that's all that matters.
Let's take a look at the lad behind you there. How well has he done, Trent, in his first season as a Premier League player?
Wow, outstanding. You know, the performance he's put in yesterday, I'm lost for words, to be honest. I honestly can't say anything. Words won't do justice to the way I felt about his performance yesterday. I felt proud. I don't know why I felt proud for him.
How old is he? It's all right for him.
He's younger than you, isn't he? He's obviously finals, man.
Been here, done it before, have you?
No, but I think we've created a bond. You know, we got along so well. He's an amazing lad and an unbelievable player. The potential he has, is ridiculous. So he's, I'm very proud of him. I think you know, the sky is the limit. There's no ceiling on his potential. Hopefully we'll win a lot of trophies together, me and him.
Should we try and drag him in? Can you get him in, Ox, and see if we can speak to us? He's holding a flag at the moment. He's gone shy. Ibu, the boys were saying how well you've done, not just in last night's performance, but in terms of the Premier League. First off, though, how much have you enjoyed this as an occasion today?
No, it's unbelievable. It's crazy. I never see this in my life, and I don't want to talk too much because I want to enjoy now.
Have you warned him what he's in for, Ox, once he gets to the city centre, how crazy it's going to be?
No, I don't speak to this guy.
This has been the kind of the theme that they've been all winding each other up, spending time with each other, but atmosphere is great so far, and of course the best bit is still to come.
Yeah, Pete, thank you very much indeed. The best bit is still yet to come. I think we've got a new winner for the least enthusiastic interview of the season from Ibrahima Konate there, who just
shy, isn't he?
Shy, he is very shy, but an absolute monster on the pitch. Fantastic debut season as a Liverpool player. First 2 trophies as a Liverpool player, and he's enjoying the day and soaking in the atmosphere as that bus makes its way towards us here on the Strand. Fabulous scenes as the Carabao Cup remains at the front of the bus, and the women are there as well with their championship trophy as they prepare to play back in the Women's Super League next season. I've spoken about a lot of the players, Nigel, throughout the course of the afternoon so far, but I haven't really touched too much on the attacking threat just yet. We sort of know what to expect from the likes of Mo Salah and Sadio Mane as Liverpool players nowadays, but what a half debut season it's been from Luis Diaz.
I think he's been phenomenal since he's come in, Luis Diaz. I think can't speak the language, but he can certainly speak the language of football. I think he's been brilliant. I think he's lifted everybody since he's come in. The competition for places in those attacking positions have gone up a notch, and you know, you have to say that all of them have responded to that. You know, Jota, Salah, Mane, and then Diaz coming in, and Bobby getting back to fitness as well. So you know, we're blessed with such quality going forward. It's just Jurgen has to find the blend, game in, game out, for whoever you're playing against and the way he wants to play. But it's trying to keep all those players happy happy as well. But I think Luis Diaz has been absolutely brilliant since he's been here, and I think next season he'll be even better. Now he's just adapted to lifestyle here in England, getting used to the cold weather, the type of play that's demanded of you in the Premier League and in the Champions League, and I think he just looks hungry for success, that boy.
I don't think there's been a new addition who's hit the ground running as quick as he has. I think he's just slotted right in. I think he enjoys the environment, and I think you've got to mention that when new players come in from different countries, different cultures, it can take a bit of time to adjust, because it's not just you, it's family, it's children, it's schools, it's lifestyle, it's culture of the new country. You've got to adapt, and it can take its time. It can take its time, and we've seen it. I'll go as far as say, I think Thiago struggled when he first come to England with the pace of the Premier League, maybe the physicality. I think other players have done that as well, but from the moment we seen him, it looked like he was born to play in the Premier League. He was aggressive, he was strong, he was direct. He's one of these modern wingers where he's a right footer playing on the left, so he can cut inside, he can go down the outside. That was something I was critical of him last night. I thought he should have gone down the outside a little bit more. It was Carvajal, wasn't it? Yeah. I thought he could have asked him a few more questions, just put it in his mind that I can go inside, I can go outside as well, and he didn't quite do that, and I thought he faded through the game. But certainly as a debutant with a half season, he's been absolutely fantastic, and he's eased up that pressure of the front three, because it was a lot of games, wasn't it? I mean, Firmino was out, so we were relying on Salah and Mane. Jota was, with his goals, he scored 18 or something around them figures, wasn't it? That was remarkable, and I think he's just come in, Luis Diaz, and just eased the pressure from that forward line.
And also came in a crucial time, Nigel, in January, with the absence of Salah and Mane playing for their countries at AFCON as well. So there was help from the likes of Minamino, Oxlade-Chamberlain, but they needed that impetus that Diaz gave them.
Well, they needed that impetus and his pace as well to get in behind. But also it allowed Jota to play as the number 9, who did very well in that position as well. Scored a lot of goals, good in the air, Jota, for his size as well. So I think they complemented each other a lot. But Diaz coming in with his pace, I think, gave us an outball as well to stretch teams. But also his defensive side of the game, Rob, has been phenomenal. He's putting a shift in, covering back for Andrew Robertson at times. So and he can play right across the front three as well, really in the wide positions better. But that's the adaptability of all those players. They can play in different positions, in different formations.
It's not just defending, it's how to defend, isn't it? I think in a Jurgen Klopp team, you got to know how to recover and which lines to recover on, because I think with Minamino, I think we've seen it, he was such a willing runner around that forward line, and sometimes it looked a bit like a chicken with no head, wasn't it? It was just like he was just all over the place.
Headless chicken, as I believe they're known. Yeah.
Is that what they're called?
They're running around like headless chicken.
That's a chicken with no head.
Chicken with no head.
Well, that is.
It is actually the same thing. Yeah. Anyway, carry on. You were saying.
So, I'll do it in a minute, but I think it's not just about defending, it's how you defend, and I think he's taken that on board really quickly, and I think that's what Jurgen Klopp really likes, a player like who listens and can adapt very quick.
When you talk about defending though, and forwards doing it, and it leads us on to, I guess, talking about pressing, which is the buzzword now in football.
Yeah.
All the best teams are high pressers, but it was interesting that we reflected on those great games against Manchester United earlier in the season, and people said, well, United don't work hard enough, they don't press, but the intelligence of knowing when to press is crucial, isn't it? Because if you half-cocked, sort of doing it sometimes, it just doesn't work. It looks awful, doesn't it?
Well, if you do it in ones and twos, then they play through you. They play out from the back and they're suddenly at your midfield. So you've got to do it at the right time. But that's Man United have had this problem. People have talked about it, that Cavani can't go and press, and if Ronaldo's in there, you can't do the full press either. So you have to drop off and be a counter-attacking team. I think when you've got three dynamic players up front in your front three, you can go and press all over the pitch, because once one goes, the other one goes, the other one goes, and then the midfield can squeeze, and then the back line can squeeze right up as far as you like, and the two fullbacks can actually push in front. So that just needs one of the strikers to trigger that, and then off you go. But it's not quite as simple as that. You have to work on it in training and know when to go and press it and when to drop off. And I think that's what Real Madrid did quite well last night. They came with a game plan. They just sat off and said, come on then, if you come and press us, we can play through you, but we can, we'll get everybody behind the ball, leave Benzema up, and then the Vinicius where Trent's pushed on. So that's why they're a dangerous team. They did it completely different. They didn't do the pressing, they did the dropping. And then you've got to work against that then. If you're a team that likes to do the high press, you go, okay, I'll drop off a little bit, let you have the ball, and then we'll go and squeeze you.
It's a very difficult, isn't it, to decide what to do, and as you said about playing through people, there's not many better than Kroos and Modric, is there? Even with a combined age of 403, they can still play through you.
Well, especially Modric, because Modric run with the ball as well. Kroos is more of a passer and then move off the ball, but Modric a pass, move, but also run with the ball, and Casemiro was sitting there and protect the two centre-backs. And at 36 years of age, I think he's just a wonderful example.
What I think they did really good, Spackers is exactly right. Sometimes when you're that deep, sometimes when it falls to you in the back four or in a deep line, sometimes you're too eager just to launch the ball for a willing striker to run the channels, and then you're hoping he gets hold of it, and then the rest of the team's got to catch up. When you've got players like Kroos and Modric, you can actually start playing out, because they'll have it in a phone box, won't they? They'll take it anywhere on a football pitch, and they'll work up the pitch in little blocks. Then all of a sudden, you get them two players on the ball with time and space. That's when they hit you with the killer pass over the top. Instead of becoming a 60-yard ball, they make it a 30-yard ball, which can be a killer pass, can't it? And that's what they did last night. They got out so many times from deep positions because them two were just willing to have it anywhere.
And what they know in their game plan then is if it's going down that right-hand side and Modric, Carvalho is there to support him, and then the ball comes in, then just change the play, because Vinicius stays so wide where the fullback,
don't they?
But as you know, as a fullback, you have to cover around. The change of plays on, and then they're at you. They're so very clever in little blocks, as Jason said, how they got out. But you know, I think sometimes people can predict how teams play, and that's the great thing going forward. You have to tinker with things just a little bit to confuse the opposition, and I think that's maybe what you're going to be looking to do maybe next season, to change things just a little bit.
Just to go back to Diaz, before we get some more reaction from the buses, I think the other great thing, we talked, Jason, earlier on about signing personalities and the right type of people. He's got that sort of bit between his teeth, Diaz, hasn't he? He was told as a kid he was too thin and too small, and you sort of see it in his personality that he's still feeling like he's proving people wrong.
I don't think you ever lose that. I mean, I had a lot of that, we used to call them knockers back in the day, people just used to knock.
Too good looking.
Yeah, you know exactly what I mean. Yeah, you did, and jealous people can do it. People who just don't want you to get on, and at such a young age, it can knock your confidence, can't it? Which in turn can knock your career. I mean, if you stop believing in yourself, then because of what people have said, you're not giving yourself you're not giving yourself the opportunity to go on and make it, and he has. And I think you take that into your career, knowing how to take them knockbacks, to feed off that energy of that, to turn it into a positive. You do it through your career all the way, because when you're playing in front of 50,000 fans at Old Trafford, 60,000, they're all telling you you're rubbish. You can take that on board sometimes. You've got to tell yourself they're not, and they're opposing fans. But we have to deal with so much criticism, and then the papers, the newspapers, they're always knocking because they've got an opinion. So it is difficult, but he's harnessed it in the right way.
Yeah, these are great scenes as the buses make their way towards us on the Strand. It won't be too long now, and that's the thing, Nigel. It's not just Luis Diaz. There are other players like that. You think back to we all know the Andy Robertson backstory, and there are a lot of players that you always think when you have success, you eventually think, is the hunger always going to be there? But because they've had those knocks in their life and they've had to come back fighting in difficult moments, you always think people like Robertson and Diaz and Henderson, they do always have that desire to keep being better and to keep winning.
Yeah, but underneath it, you have to have ability to be a professional footballer at any level. You have to have ability, but the mental side of the game can take you so far, and I think that's what sets out the good players to great players at that very highest level, that mentally, they know what they're doing, they never give up, they're not going to let people drag them down. I'm going to show you that I'm good enough, etc., etc. But that's in life, Rob, as well. That's not just in football, but there's millions of people watching you do your job. As Jason said, there's 50, 60,000 at Old Trafford, but around the world, watching FA Cup finals, watching Champions League finals on social media, millions and millions of people, and you've got to be tough enough to take it on the chin sometimes or strong enough just to ignore it.
It's what is your motivational tool, isn't it?
Yeah.
And a lot of us would have had that, wouldn't we? People knocking on, tell us we're not good enough. You've got to get a horse in a positive way.
You tell me most shows I'm not good enough.
So look at you, you're at the top, aren't you? Top of your game.
Top of the hotel, at least.
Match of the day's looming for you.
Rob, there was a good article, I don't know if you read it, about Andrew Robertson this week, when he got let go by Celtic as a kid, saying you're not going to be big enough, we don't think you're good enough. And, you know, he could have turned to golf. He was a very good golfer. I don't know if I think he's nearly as good as Jason is. Because Jason has loads of times on that golf course. And, you know, he ended up getting the chance to get back into the game at the very lowest level and worked his way all the way through.
Jason, do you know that the one thing that's better than one McAteer on set?
It's got to be 3.
3 McAteers on set.
Well, there's 2. There's 2. This is my nephew. There's 2 of mine. Look at them. I make great kids, don't I?
I mean, this is a route I don't want to go down, but there they are. Look at this. Ted, there you are. Look, have a little wave at that camera. You're on the telly. Everyone can see it.
See in that little box there.
Look. Ted's got very shy.
Outside world.
Outside.
Hello.
Did you enjoy Wembley when you went down? FA Cup final.
Very much.
What was your favourite bit?
Seeing all the players walking past my room.
Oh,
okay. Was it a nice room then? It must have been, wasn't it?
Very nice.
Right, I've got a little challenge for you, Logie. What I want you to do is look down camera 1 and say, OK, let's hear from Diogo Jota. He's with Pete.
OK, let's hear from Diogo Jota. He's with Pete.
Yes, Logie.
Got Diogo Jota with me. Jota, how much are you enjoying this?
Well, it's amazing, to be honest. I was not expecting this much. Of course, after the defeat yesterday, it feels sad. But it's impossible to be sad at this moment when we have all these people cheering for you and for the team.
People might wonder, does this make a difference as turning up, waving to the players? You're saying it does.
Yeah, of course. Like I said, it's a sad moment for all of us, what happened last night. But if you can ever think of all of the season, I think 4 defeats, 2 trophies, it's an amazing season now. We can celebrate, although it's hard to because of what happened last night.
You played so well last night. That is part of the disappointment, isn't it, in the sense that there was very little in the game really that separated the 2 teams.
Yeah, in football it's about scoring goals, and we didn't last night, so that was the main difference. But like I said, today is the moment to think about all of the season, and it was an outstanding one with 2 trophies, and a season with 2 trophies will never be a bad season.
I think you go into your 3rd different season now as a Liverpool player next year.
Yeah.
Do you have a feeling that they will just get stronger, this squad now?
Yeah, hopefully. Last season we're going to play for 1 more trophy. We have the Community Shield, so hopefully we grab more trophies than this one.
So you're already thinking about next season, already thinking about the next trophy you can play for?
Yes, this season, like I said, was outstanding one. We did a great job, but I think about improvement, and if we can do next season, it will be great. Thank you.
Yeah, that's the thing about great teams, always making plans for the future, and Diogo Jota has an eye on next season. But for the moment, he and his teammates and the LFC women as well can just enjoy the now, and we're going to leave you with the sights and sounds of the buses as they approach us here on the Strand, and we'll chat to you again in a few minutes' time. atmosphere really building up here on the Strand now as the buses start to make their way towards us here on the waterfront. And what has been a fabulous celebration of a fabulous season, a League Cup, an FA Cup and promotion for the women back to the WSL as well. And it is pretty much every vantage point possible. There are people on the top of the car park signs, people on the traffic lights, desperate to get a glimpse of a couple of absolutely wonderful teams that have given us so many moments of joy throughout the course of the season. Oh, the pizzas have arrived, Jason. That's good news, isn't it?
Right on cue, the pizzas.
He's got a smile on his face for the first time today.
Yeah. Well, it's either that or hypothermia, because it's quite chilly up here for the end of May, isn't it?
It's got an overcast, hasn't it? That's the problem. Dress appropriately, as I have.
And on brand as ever, Jason. Absolutely.
Experience.
One of the things that struck me as you watch the players taking in these moments, Nigel, is that are these the sort of things that you call upon in difficult moments in games, the desire to have this again at the end of next season?
Well, you just got to enjoy winning, haven't you? You know, and I think what drives you on is these people who are lining the streets today because they want to come and support their team that's had a magnificent season once again, and that drives you on to see these people. I loved it, Kanate, the way he was dancing on the bus, enjoying himself, taking it all in for the first time. They just want to do this every year, and the supporters want to do it every year, but you've just got to keep producing, haven't you? But it's a great atmosphere here today, and it's fantastic. There's so many people who have turned up to celebrate a brilliant season from Liverpool.
And Jason, we've often spoken about your pride being a Scouser, growing up as a Liverpool fan, and we've heard from a couple of those throughout the course of the day. Trent Alexander-Arnold, Curtis Jones as well. That extra edge it gives you as a player when this is your team that you're representing and this is what you've dreamt of from the moment you started to fall in love with football, I guess.
I think it works both ways, to be honest. I mean, we had Jamie Webster on the breakfast show before the game yesterday. You know, we've created this kind of culture, haven't we, with Jamie's songs and a relationship with the fans. And some of the fans are saying it's come back. I don't even think it went. I just think maybe the success kind of waned a little bit. But we've always had the support. But the support, kind of what we got now with the songs, all the players seem to have a song, don't we? Jamie's embracing that. I mean, the fan park yesterday, I think had 70,000 at it yesterday, all singing the song. So that's amazing that relationship is forged and back together. But for the players as well, for the likes of Trent and Curtis, I mean, I've lived that dream. You know, you grow up a young kid, Liverpool shirt. You know, we weren't blessed with money, so getting to the games, it was quite tight. I got here every now and again, but Kenny was my hero, and you know, to then get the opportunity and play is just great. The thing is, you've got to be a professional footballer, haven't you? You can't live the dream and sort of not be professional about it. And sometimes it can pass you by very quickly, can't it? You know, because you have that many games, you're professional. It's
sometimes. So I think that's the big thing. If you're talking to these players, and I think they learn it from James Milner and senior players, that enjoy it, because next year it might not be like this. The year after it might not be like this. You know, because you know, the success breeds success normally, but you can have a dip. So take it in, enjoy it all, and don't forget now the Premier League and Liverpool Football Club is a worldwide brand now. You've got people here from all over the world, not just from Liverpool, supporting the team today, as they do week in, week out around the world.
Well, I love that story of James Milner going in the dressing room for the FA Cup final when they were all filming after they'd won it, and he went, "Put your phones away." It's like, you might be filming the moment, but you're missing the moment yourselves, and it is. I mean, phones, you know, they can be great in one thing, can't they, but terrible in another, and he's right. Yeah. It's like, embrace the moment, you know, live it, live that moment.
Live the moment. And we've spoken about the squad effort over the course of the season, and just touching on Scousers there, someone like Tyler Morton, and that's the great thing about the cup successes, is that, okay, the big boys come in and they take care of the finals, the Van Dijks and the Salahs and the Manes come back into it, but the joy of someone like Tyler Morton, speaking to him after his first Liverpool start, it was, you can literally see in the whites of someone's eyes that is dream come true moment.
Absolutely, just getting that little taste and enjoy playing at Anfield in front of a full house. Curtis has done that, the year before, but that was in lockdown as well, wasn't it? And did so well, and then beating Everton and all that, scoring goals. So once you get that little taste, you want more of it. But the next thing is do you continue to play a bit part in Liverpool in the cup competitions, or does the manager say, I think it's about time now you went out on loan, got a little bit more experience, and then come back in and compete for a place in the squad? Because it's so hard for a young player to get a place in the squad because the competition for places is so great, and you've got other young players around you or just in front of you. So that's the next thing for some of the young players who just had a little taste. I want more of that.
But that's the important thing, Jason, isn't it? That they feel like they've contributed to something, these young players, that people sometimes question the fact that a club like Liverpool makes a lot of changes for the early rounds, but as you touched on earlier with when you were saying about there's no reserve team football anymore, the Carabao Cups can be that first little step into being a professional footballer.
It's a learning curve, isn't it, for them?
Yeah.
And there's so many little things or big things that go into that, playing in front of a crowd, going from 2,000, 5,000 up to 55,000 people at Anfield who demand success. You've got to swim in the deep end, when you're thrown in it. Otherwise, you move on. It's as simple as that. That's what elite sport's all about. But yeah, to be around this kind of success is great for the youngsters. As long as it doesn't go to the head, which it can. It's a good tool.
Well, here we go. You can smell and see the red flares and smoke here on the Strand, and you can hear the music, and the buses are with us, so we will quieten down and leave you to enjoy the atmosphere as Liverpool arrive here on the waterfront. Absolutely fabulous scenes as the buses made their way past us here on the Strand. The players taking it all in, and so too the manager, Jurgen Klopp, with Pete.
Pete with the manager, best club in the world, isn't it?
Head over down. There's no club in the world, this world, would have happened that you lose the Champions League final the night before, and the people arrive here in the shape they are, in the mood they are. It's absolutely outstanding. This is the best club in the world. Don't care what other people think.
The players were a little bit nervous, you know, they didn't know what they were to expect. This is what they expect. It's Liverpool fans at their best.
I wasn't sure what we can expect. We spoke about it before. What do we do? You have to plan this kind of thing. You can't just say, bam, here's the parade. No, but I hope that we find something like this. It's absolutely incredible. It's incredible so far, but the best part is just to come. It's unbelievable.
You're so big on the players enjoying occasions like this, aren't you?
That's the biggest sign you can give to the world. So, yes, we want to competition, great, but we didn't win the last two. And these people don't forget, they know exactly what the shift the boys put in. Absolutely incredible. That's such a boost for everything what will come. Unbelievable.
How proud are you of these players, Jurgen?
I'm proud of the players, but I'm proud of these people, to be honest. Unbelievable. Yesterday in the stadium, some things happened that nobody understood. Our families were in trouble, all these kind of things. And now we come here and see this. When you see the eyes of the people, it's incredible. That's incredible. That's the best sign you can get. You don't have to win. You just have to put all what you have in. Really, throw everything on the pitch. And the people in Liverpool love you.
They're brilliant footballers, but they love a party as well, these players, don't they?
Yeah, it was a good party last night, and now it's a good party here. We celebrate life, we celebrate the season, we celebrate our two competitions, and we celebrate the Championship 20, so that's how it is.
And just finally, that we're about to turn the big corner now. This is like the best roller coaster you've ever been on in your life.
Oh yeah. At the best, I'm not sure it's a roller coaster. I would have had. I have no problem winning the last two competitions as well. But yes, it's unbelievable. What the boys did is unbelievable. The coaches did is unbelievable. The concentration we kept on what level we kept unbelievable. All good. But now I'm on holiday.
Yeah.
I'm on holiday now.
Lastly, on behalf of everybody watching this, thank you so much for this season.
You are welcome. I love you all. And I'm not drunk, not a little bit. Just emotional.
Not drunk yet.
Not quite. There's a few hours left in him, yeah.
Wow. And there's not many Premier League managers who can look cool with their cap on backwards, but Jurgen's one of them.
He can rock the cap backwards, can't he?
What about those scenes then as they came down the Strand just in front of us?
It tells you a lot about the Liverpool fans, to be honest, because you know, we didn't know what to expect. I don't think anyone knew what to expect, only the fans, you know, and they've turned out in their thousands again. I mean, I think we touched on 1 million when we brought the Champions League back. I don't think the numbers will surpass that, but they'll certainly be right up there. But it just says what they think about their team and what they think about where we are at the moment. And, you know, they do say it's the best team in the world. We are one of the best teams in the world, and they've come out and supported us, and rightly so as well. It's been a magnificent season. It's been a magnificent 6 years, hasn't it?
I mean, this bit along here, the Strand outside the light, the building where we are, it's been absolutely magnificent. But the turnout of the people is magnificent. I'm sure that looking down there, people with their dogs, little kids in pushchairs, they can't go to the games. So this is to come and support their team outside of going to Anfield or going to away games or going to Paris. I think the turnout was magnificent, and I think this is then the stepping stone of these younger kids going on to support Liverpool for their lifetime, going to Anfield in the future. But not everybody can afford to go to football. They can turn up here and support their team and show how dedicated they are to their team and to their city.
Jurgen Klopp says there about the relationship and what the fans have given the team, Jason, over the course of this year. But it has to be reciprocal, doesn't it? And what the players and the manager have given to the people. You can see it with that relationship with the fist pumps in front of the Kop at the end of every game, that it is just a both-way love fest, isn't it, really?
Yeah, it's such a unique football club. You know, being a fan of the football club has been remarkable. You know, I finished playing football, I've become a fan again. Working as an ambassador and with the media has kept me very close to the club, and you know, I love it to bits. It's the best job in the world for me. But when you're a player, Spackers, I'm sure you'll agree, it's when you leave, you don't realise actually what you've left behind until you've left it behind, do you? It's kind of, it's horrible. There's nothing else matches it. There's absolutely nothing else will match playing for Liverpool.
No, absolutely. When you leave this club, it's not until you leave that you really realise the size of the club, the support, the success you had, the teammates that you left behind, or you know, the associations you've made and all that stuff. You don't realise that until you leave. But when you come back as a media person or as a supporter, you can tell what a magnificent club this is. And I think Jurgen speaking there, I think he's taking it to his heart. You can see that, you know, he just wants to get on with next season now. He wants to go away on holiday, of course, but he wants to move on to next season and get even more success. And that's why he's such an integral part of this club.
I think as well, you know, the football club has obviously grown on the pitch and it's been remarkable, but also off it as well. We spoke about the team behind the team, and there's lots of teams here that play their part, and you know, commercially it's very, very strong at the moment. You know, the partners on board have been brilliant and backed us, and I think the owners need recognition as well by putting their hand in the pocket and giving Jurgen what he wants. You know, we've had a couple of barren windows, but then all of a sudden the money's been found to bring in a Virgil van Dijk or a Diaz if we need it, you know. So the money has been there by the owners. I think John Henry and his team have been brilliant as well. We need to mention them. Commercial partners. I think Billy Hogan has taken the club, you know, onto new levels with his forward thinking as a CEO. I think he's been remarkable. Alex Inglethorpe, you know, down at the academy, brilliant what he's doing, and the amount of, you know, young players that have come through his ranks and you're now on the brink of the first team is brilliant. Trent is obviously, you know, the one that springs to mind, but then there's Curtis Jones, Harvey Elliott's thrown into the mix, Tyler Morton's on his way as well. So, you know, the whole club right through, you know, different departments is extremely strong, probably the strongest it's ever been, you know, as a business and as a sport model. And yeah, it is about success. That, you know, success breeds success. Money makes money, but you've got to do it on the pitch. And you know, I'm not so sure we would be here without Jurgen Klopp. So maybe we say one big thank you, and the biggest thank you probably does go to him.
Yeah, absolutely. But when we start looking to the future, Nigel, and as Jordan Henderson said earlier, it's never too long before you start thinking about what next. The next will surely be get one of the big two next season, either the Premier League or the Champions League. And look, they were within 90 minutes. You might argue with that game at Manchester City last week, they were within 15 minutes of winning the league title. But to get one of those two next season would be the thing, wouldn't it?
Well, I think the biggest thing, as I said earlier, is to get the Premier League title. I think that's what Liverpool Football Club was all about, is winning the league title. And that's what you set out to do at the start of the season. You know, probably the Champions League is second to that, the FA Cup, then the Carabao Cup. But you take them as they come along, because not all teams can win silverware. Not all teams can be champions. And Liverpool this season, fighting on four fronts, won two of those, just missed out on the other two. But next season, it'll be try and win the title. And I think that's the recognition you get, is by winning, you know, the title again. And then if the Champions League comes along as well, that'd be very nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, you know, if we're looking to the very near future, you know, there's a couple of things to sort out. You know, the transfer window in the summer, you know, that'll open, and there's a couple of players here with question marks over their futures. You know, there's been rumours Sadio Mane is going to move on. There's rumours what Mo Salah's going to do. You know, it'd be nice to sort that out, to be honest. And if one of them leaves, if they both leave, then they need replacing. And if they need replacing, then that recruitment's got to be right. I mean, Jurgen very rarely gets it wrong, and I'm sure he'll have a backup plan somewhere if that was to be the case. But it'd be nice to get it done and dusted and know where we are. And I think that's the immediate future from the business side of the club. But as far as the players are concerned, they need to go away and recharge the batteries and come back fresh, because as we know, 63 games, it's a long old season.
It's a long old season. but it's been a great old season, hasn't it? And I know that we're all tinged with disappointment, more than tinged, in fact, when the final whistle went in Paris last night.
That's forgotten about now.
To a certain extent, yes, because then you see and you remember as you see the faces today of that women's team getting themselves back into the WSL, those 2 trophies, those days at Wembley, magical times.
It is, you know, like I said, the club's moving forward in all departments, and you know the women need a special mention as well. Matt Beard's done a marvellous job from where they were, you know, and like we said, they're only going to grow now with exposure. They can attract a different kind of player to the football club because they're playing in the top flight again, and it just seems fitting that Liverpool should be in the top flight. So let's wish them all the success next season.
Yeah, I have to say also, Rob, for the past players, the legends of how well the club are looking after the legends as well. Match day hospitality, and
you enjoyed that coffee earlier. You're very welcome.
but at match days, you know, all the boys through from the Ian Callaghan's right through to Jason, you know, everybody who comes along were made to feel welcome by the club and be part of that club, and it's great to be able to come and watch this team play, you know, in the big games, in all the games, and support them as well. So I think the club is doing brilliantly on the field, but behind the scenes, you know, there's a lot going on, and we're all thankful for getting invites to come to the hospitality or come and do the television. We really enjoy that part.
Say a special thank you to Matt Parrish as well. He runs the foundation here, because you know the foundation obviously filters into the community and the charity work of the football club, and you know Spacker's touched on it there. The legends play the games, a lot of money's made, and they distribute it accordingly, and lots of people benefit from that. So Matt's doing a fantastic job, and sometimes they are unsung heroes. You know, he's got a fantastic team behind him, but Matt, you know, he puts the hours in. He's great to work with, and he's doing a tremendous job with the foundation. So well done, Matt, as well.
Well done, Matt. And talking of unsung heroes, Nigel, thank you.
Can I go and sleep now?
We'll go for a drink.
We thought you were.
I hope sleeping after one of them.
A little drink, and then we're done. Gentlemen, thank you very much indeed. It's been great to have you come. It has been a fabulous season. Let's do it all again in August, shall we? Bye-bye.
I think it's important with a decent football career that you don't cling to it too much. Take your learning, develop